Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Westman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us on another crazy, wild, death-defying, insane edition of Crime and Sports.
Great.
And we have been on a roll lately. Last week with Nile Ranger, which was just
That was awesome.
that was a lot of arrests and a lot of stuff going on there.
I'm really glad I know who that is.
Oh, God, he's the best. Isn't he the best? Him and Mitch Green before that, and we had Jim the Anvil. We've been on a roll lately, and we are not going to stop this roll this week because we have one of the craziest damn stories. It's one of those guys where I'm like, how have I not heard everything about this guy? I don't understand it. I feel like everything... This is one of those stories that we should all know. We all know Darryl Strawberry, and we all know like Lenny Dykstra. We all know these crazy stories, but we don't know this guy's story, and it's crazier than all of them. So we'll talk about that, though.
Crazier than both of them.
Crazier than both of them. Maybe not crazier than Mitch Green. I don't think that's possible.
He's a lunatic, man.
It's not possible to be crazier than a man who just takes over a gas station and not robs it, but starts working it. Like, what's in the register isn't enough. I'll take as the customers come too. That's a whole other level of crime I've never seen before. That I'm still amazed by that. If you think about it, from like an A to B standpoint, he was just like, well, I'll just stay there. People keep coming with money.
Right.
I'll just keep taking money. Like, it makes sense. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Not in what do you do after that?
Right.
But I mean, from an A to B, you're like, yeah, that's how you get money.
Stop selling like crazy.
It's going to work.
Check your oil, sir.
Hey.
I cannot believe that.
Wiper fluid. He's out there. Your back passenger tire's about 2 pounds low. You want me? I'm gonna hit it up. Hold on. I gotta fill it up. He's filling tires, working for tips.
Yeah.
He put the little uniform on. The bell's ringing. He's running. He's got the change thing. Oh man, it's the best.
We got new sun visors here. They say need help. So in case your car breaks down, there's a 1-800 number.
Yeah, but don't call police. Wait to do that because I'm here now. You don't want to call police right this second.
Unbelievable.
Let's not do that. So not much different this week. It is as crazy as it comes this week. And before we get to that, just want to thank everyone for everything you've done for us this week. Little house cleaning. Thank you, first of all, for all of your reviews, iTunes and otherwise, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. Those reviews really help a lot. I don't know why. We don't know. We don't understand iTunes and their funky algorithm as far as charts go, but it helps. Those reviews help. So if you could, please give us 5 stars. It doesn't matter what you say. It's not for our ego. Say you're following instructions or following directions or whatever, and whatever platform you listen on, may review there. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com.
Right.
You need to be there. That's very important. Everything crime and sports there, all the merchandise, all the cool stuff like that. Live shows for Small Town Murder are going to be announced soon on there, and also we're trying to sneak a couple in for crime and sports too. So trying to do that. So check up on that. You can follow us on social media too, at Crime and Sports on all the platforms, and find out where that comes from and when that exactly happens. Do all of that. And if you want to be an even bigger hero,
you can.
One of our good God, our heroes. It's the only way to put it. We love these people, and we can't thank them enough. They keep the show going. Our producers, who we're going to talk about in gushing, glowing detail at the end of the show, you can do that very easily by going over to patreon.com/crimeandsports or heading over to PayPal and using our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com, to make a one-time donation. And you can do that right through the site too. And it doesn't matter. People will send us $1 and they'll be like, it wasn't a lot. And they'll, a apologize for him. We're like, oh my God, thank you for like, we don't care. It's amazing. Thank you so much. $1's great. We're thrilled with $1.
Absolutely.
We don't care. It doesn't matter. And that's like for them. And they were like, well, it's like a quarter a week. Yeah. That's not bad for like 5 to 6 hours of content a week for a quarter.
It's the cheapest entertainment.
Not too shabby. It's really pretty good.
Yeah.
So, not too bad. So thank you guys for that. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, but never mind all of that. Mm-hmm. Without further ado, we have to get into this story because it is a lot of police action. Yeah. This is another one where we're going to say the crime and sports motto is going to ring true of crime and sports. Not so much sports, probably a lot of crime.
Really?
Yeah, that's where we're at today.
Not a big career.
He had a decent career, but it's so overshadowed by the mountain of crime that it's just silly to even spend a lot of time on the sports stuff.
Fantastic.
Let's get right into this. It is Samuel Lee Stewart Jr.
Sam Stewart Jr.
Of course, he's a junior.
He's got to.
Sammy Stewart. Okay. He's a Major League Baseball player.
I was going to guess baseball.
In the 80s, early 80s.
Royals?
Okay. No, not at all. This is my favorite thing, Jimmy's team guess. I love it.
The Expos.
Nope. He sees blue, everybody. He sees blue on the man, even though neither team he played for wore blue.
Oh, Jesus.
Or all three, actually.
Oh, wow.
No blue.
You got 3 teams and not one had blue.
Neither. Let's give it another guess. What else you got?
It's pretty ballsy.
It's not bad.
It's pretty impressive.
One sort of
clearly played for the Cardinals.
Nope. Did not.
How about the Angels?
Nope, not the Angels either. This is good.
That's all I've got left.
All right, well, the other teams
everything else that I see is blue.
That's amazing. How about the Reds?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't play for that.
They're all red.
Yeah, I didn't play for them either, though. Let's get into this here. So, Sammy Stewart. That's awesome. We're off to a hot start.
We are.
Right away with the junior is a problem. When you see that, I was like, oh boy. When I saw
heavily.
When I started looking into this guy, I'm like, well, there's junior right away. This is an issue. And then the junior behavior just comes out of his pores. You can like when someone eats too much garlic and it comes out of their pores, and you can smell them from like the next room. You can smell Junior wafting from a town over with this guy
falling out of his A's jersey.
Yeah, no, not the A's though. Falling out of his jersey that does not belong to the Oakland A's. His nickname is the Throwin Swannanoan.
What is that? That doesn't even make sense.
If you could have seen Jimmy's face go blank just now as far as shit, what country is that? He went, oh my God, I don't know that. Go, Swannanoa, is that a country?
Is that for real?
That is a place in North Carolina that he lived. So he's from Swannanoa. So that's the issue. So the Throwin Swannanoan. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
They're really reaching.
They're reaching hard. Yeah. But this guy's a character. So he's a character. Back in the day, you had to have, if you have a character relief pitcher, they have to have a nickname of some kind. It's just one of those things. The man Hungarian. He came up in 78. We'll get into the whole thing. That was his rookie year. He's born October 28th, 1954, in Hendersonville, North Carolina. He grows up, man, his parents, they're some rugged people. His father, Samuel Sr., obviously, was a World War II vet.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, this is anybody born in 54. My dad was born in, 57. So that era, their dads are... Their dads are hardcore.
Ass kickers.
They
real men.
They beat Hitler. Like we've talked about before, we respect everybody's military, whatever country or your service and all that. Respect the shit out of it. None of you are fighting Hitler.
No.
If you beat Hitler, that's special. No, throughout history, I don't care if it's gladiators or all the way through.
Still got a couple of levels to beat.
You beat Hitler. That's pretty good. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just you beat the head villain at the end of the last level of the game. That's Hitler.
That is peak.
He pops out with his little mustache, digitized 8-bit mustache, and he dances back and forth like Bowser in an old Mario game.
Hell yeah.
And you have to hit him with knishes because that's what kills him.
Or matzo balls.
That's it. Knish, matzah.
Drilling him with gefilte fish.
Knish, matzah. That's what you do. Knish down low, matzah to the head. Boom, and it takes him down eventually, and he falls down on his back like a turtle, and his arms and his feet kick around. And then you go up and shave his mustache off and keep it as a souvenir.
That is the war of the people with the worst foods.
Yeah, that is.
That is a terrible couple of cuisines.
That is a bad.
It's not not good.
They intertwine a lot which is another problem. Yeah, those are not great.
That's gross food.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It all tastes spoiled.
Yeah, that's true.
It all tastes bad.
Sorry, Germans and Jews, but your food is not wonderful.
Get back in the kitchen.
I grew up in New York, so obviously a lot of Jewish friends, and you like when you're growing up and you look Italian, people ask you if you're Jewish and vice versa, because we sort of look alike. So a lot of like a Jewish kid be like, "You member of the tribe?" And I'd go, "Nope, I'm a member of the tribe with better food."
Right.
That's same thing, just better food. And they go, "Yeah, you're right. I can't disagree with that. I've been to your house." Pretty much the same thing. Sarcastic.
To turn around and go, "Shh, the mob don't exist."
Yeah, overprotective parents. All the whole thing. Yeah. Plus. We just have better food. Now they will feed you good. The Jewish people. It's just gross
garbage.
food. Yeah, it's just not food I want. It's just gross. But
pack you full of that smelly yuck shit.
So Samuel Sr., though, he's in World War II, and it was a hard man. His father was a rugged son of a bitch, and he, was. Back then, you wanted your kid to be tough like you and all that sort of shit, and especially like in the South in the 50s and early 60s, and the dad was a World War II vet. His dad kept working after he lost an arm in the textile mill.
What the fuck?
So his dad comes home from the war, he's working in a textile mill, loses his arm in a goddamn machine, and then just keeps working one arm with his shirt pin sleeved.
Who does he think he is, the drummer of Def Leppard?
That's what I mean. He's just
Take a rest, sir. You've done enough.
Yeah, we can still make hysteria. It's going to be great. Don't worry about it. Yeah, pour some sugar on me. It'll be our biggest hit. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no. The drums can just be like
hysteria.
It sounds. Yeah, it's okay if it sounds like shit. No one cares.
Just give me a double bass. I'll fill it in.
It's the 80s. Poison's popular. It's fine. It's fine.
It'll be all right.
No one cares.
No. I can still make a beat. They'll dance.
Hear that? It's fucking better than they got. Don't worry about it. We got this, dude. Wingers on the charts. It's fine. We're good right now.
Wingers on the charts.
Yeah, we're going to make it.
A song from a fucking movie is up there. We'll be all right.
Yeah, it's no worries at all. Gonna be fine. So his father is one-armed World War II veteran.
Yeah.
So that dude comes home from work at the textile mill with one arm. He has got to be a fucking strict son of a bitch, I'm just thinking.
That's the hardest conversation to have. With somebody with a sleeve pinned up.
Well,
how uncomfortable are you?
It's tough. You want to just go, can I get that for you? Whatever you want to get? Do you need anything? Do you just
feel greedy? Like I feel so entitled. I'm like, I can pick anything up within, a weight limit. You're just fucked, sir.
I just always think, no matter how, whatever, they look, I could kick that dude's ass. That
World War II vet with one arm could probably still beat
I don't think so, because let's say he's got no left arm. I just keep going to my right around in a circle, pop, 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 and he's just swinging wildly trying to chase me. I think it's over, man. I think I can take him.
Fuck. There is no more awkward feeling, though.
Than beating up an armless World War II veteran. There really isn't a lot more. But you have to prove it to yourself sometimes, Jimmy. That's the thing. It's to yourself. It's not to anyone else.
The realization that this person in front of me has one arm.
Oh, my
that is
God.
the most difficult. You can't. Are you going to acknowledge it? You can't acknowledge it because then you're the hackiest guy in his life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just got to pretend that thing doesn't exist.
And I picture this guy's coming home with flannel shirt overalls, flannel shirt sleeve pinned up. Yeah, it's a rough conversation to have, man. It's just rough. It's just rough. Did you do your homework? Wow.
The amount of safety pins that man owns. I don't own a single one. I've never seen one since I was in school.
You hope it's one's in something if you need one. Do I have...
Have I bought a collared shirt recently?
Yeah,
I might have something.
The little bag of...
those push pins?
Yeah. Well, that or the little bag, with the little bag of extra button that comes on it there. Now, his mother, Faye, worked at the same... Jesus Christ, man. She worked at the same blanket manufacturer from, the time she was a child, where... She kept this job even after she lost her leg in an accident.
What the fuck is going on with this family?
Why are you both... get new jobs.
Yeah.
You're working for textile. This lady's making blankets, and you're both losing limbs.
And how dangerous is blanket making that you're losing legs?
A whole leg just gnawed right off in the process.
Much leg.
That's a lot of leg, and that's a lot going on.
I don't know. Is she like working the wheel on the feet? You know what I mean?
Decided to swallow half of her body.
What the fuck is going on?
Grew teeth and ate her. Wow.
So he's got a legless mom and an armless dad.
Wow. So basically, he's averting his gaze a lot. We'll put it that way. He's just trying not to look at things his whole life. So that's an uncomfortable way to wake up or to grow up. Just never fucking being able to look at anything.
Can't look down, can't look up.
Hey, Mom, Dad, shit. Just looking at the floor the whole time. His older sister, Linda, said that, she said he was he just drew everybody in as a child. She said, quote, if you look into his eyes, they just sparkled and they just drew you in. When you were talking to him, you felt like he was really listening to you. Yeah. So that was, people liked him apparently.
What is she missing?
She has no head, unfortunately. She speaks from a machine that comes out of her neck. It's very sad. It's very sad.
These are words of a man who's missing a finger, for Christ's sake. Yeah. And thank Christ this thing is so almost unnoticeable unless you're really looking at my hand.
Making a spectacle out of it, yeah. Well, waving it around.
An arm gone. Jesus.
Yeah, a whole arm or a whole leg. That's a lot. The sister said that he was always the parents' golden boy. Yeah. You know, he was their favorite son. They have he has two sisters and he's the only boy. Okay. So he was kind of the prince of the family there. Okay. She said that she always just loved her brother, though. The older sister always had like a thing. She always was like taken in by her brother and always trying to protect him. Yeah. And later on they had a good relationship too, so that kind of stays with him. His sister Linda. His parents were tough. Like if he didn't get up for school on the first call of wake up, she'd go in and dump cold water on him in bed and shit like that. Like they're harsh, old school kind of parents.
His parents would do that?
That's his parents, yeah. That's his legless mom.
She'd hop up there.
I was going to say, I don't know how she'd get a bucket of water
on him.
I mean, it would be gone by the time she got there.
Make a shitload of noise as she drags it across the floor.
Either that or she's hopping, which is going to be the water's going to spill.
It's just splashing all over.
It's not going to be good, man. It's not going to be great.
By the time she gets up there, that's what it is. She just kind of spritzes him.
Maybe.
By the time she gets up there, it's just like a squirt bottle in his face.
See, the advent of the water gun was really a big day for her. She just loaded up the super soaker and just fucking
hopped up there.
Get up, bitch, and started spraying him down.
Wouldn't be Dad. That takes two hands.
Yeah. You got to pump that shit. Yeah. Well, he's going to pump, squirt, pump. He just has to keep stopping.
Put it between his legs.
Yeah, he can't.
Looks like he's tugging.
Yeah, and even then he still has no trigger, so he's going to be in trouble. He needs to. That's the key to a super soaker is to shoot and pump at the same time.
Now you're talking,
and then you're getting it all in there. But if you have to pump and then shoot, you're gonna get smoked, man. You got no chance.
You'll be dripping before you fire a squirt.
You might as well jump in the pool at that point. It's over for you. So. Sammy grows up pretty big, grows up to be 6'3", 200 pounds.
Wow.
So big dude, about 210 is his playing weight. Big guy, especially for back then. That's a pretty big dude. He goes to Charles D. Owen High School, which is a public school there. I looked it up. I was doing some research. Its current principal's name is Meg Turner, in case you're interested. Yeah. I don't know why that's important, but that's there. They say that a lot. She must have said, I want my name on shit. Put my name on the Wikipedia.
They're proud of her, huh?
Yeah, they had to update that. Yeah. She said, update it. I'm principal now. Get in there. Go. I could see her at home like, current principal? Meg Turner, period. Click.
And she threw Meg in there like that's her real name.
Yeah, Meg.
Come on, Megan.
So this high school is known for its football program. They have 17 conference championships as of 2008, which is a lot. And the women's cross country program won the state title in 1988, and the men's cross country program won in 2004, 5, 7, and 8 state championships. And the softball team took home state back-to-back championships in 2000 and 2001. So they're it's a good sports. It's down south too. There's a lot of sports going on. It's a good sports school. Other people who went here, other alumni, Patricia Cornwell, the true crime author, Okay. She writes shitloads of crime. She writes, I don't know if she's true crime. I think she writes fucking...
Just fiction
stuff? I think. I don't remember. Brad Daugherty.
Oh!
Remember Brad Daugherty, the NBA player? Yeah, for the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of the most boring players in the history of the NBA.
Him and Danny Ferry on the same team.
They belonged in the 50s, those guys. They're so fucking boring. Yeah. Brad Johnson, the old quarterback.
Hell yeah.
We remember him, goofy.
The most undeserving of the Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, there is Trent Dilfer.
There is that, too.
Brad Johnson does have the longest neck I've ever seen in a football game, though. Well, him and Tim McKyer of the old 49ers had that long, weird neck, too.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah, that long neck, so there's that.
That is a very weird thing when there is that much gap between the helmet and the shoulder pads.
Get bigger shoulder pads just to make it not look as weird.
Put some linebacker pads on.
Brad Johnson will put a turtleneck on. You're like, you're accentuating it, bro. What the fuck are you doing? Now you have two necks. You have half of one that's a turtleneck and then more necks sticking out of that before you get to your stupid head.
Don't play Brad Johnson in D.C. anymore. Get him the fuck to the West Coast.
Yeah, bro. Jesus. Get that turtleneck off and put him in fucking San Diego. Well, back then, they don't have a goddamn team anymore. But
did he win with Tampa or Baltimore? No, Tampa, right?
Tampa. They beat the Raiders.
Trent Dilfer was with
with Baltimore the year before. Yeah. So now Sammy he loved to play sports. He was crazy for it. He would unlock a window in the gym at the high school while he was at school so he could sneak back in at night to play basketball. Not to fuck anything up, just so he had a court to play on.
That is the worst crime ever.
Yeah, that's bad for future. He's thinking about, I can break and enter this way. This is clever.
Breaking and sporting? What is that? What do they call that?
Shoot baskets.
Breaking and shooting?
Yeah. Well, I've been busted.
That's not really
before.
Even breaking.
As a kid.
Yeah.
No, we used to sneak into places and play basketball and get in trouble for it all fucking time. We're sneaking into places and skateboard. We never get into too much trouble. It was just like, you got to get out of here. Like, obviously we're not fucking. And when you do that, you make sure not to fuck with anything else.
Right.
So if you do get busted, they're like, all right, I see what you're doing. You're not fucking anything.
You're not breaking anything. You're just
not going to arrest kids. Yeah, I'm not going to arrest kids for playing basketball, but get the fuck out.
Right.
Like type of shit.
We close it because it's a liability. If you guys get hurt, then
that's
we're
what
fucked.
it is. And we're like, we're fine. We'll drag ourselves away.
Take our own liability in our own hands.
He even snuck through a hole in the fence of a juvenile detention center near his house so he could play basketball against those kids. He was sneaking.
That is crazy.
This is how crime and sports this episode is. He was sneaking into jail. At a young age.
To play basketball with criminals.
I was almost Grace by the 4th grade. You understand? Almost. If he wouldn't have done something really good in sports later on, I'd say this is Grace because that is fucking ridiculous.
That is ballsy as fuck.
We've never had anybody sneak into jail in our shows before. We've had them sneak out of jail plenty of time. Yeah. Ben Kramer with a helicopter and Dotzik going out through the fence with his bare hands and shit like that. We've had some crazy shit, but never someone
that is amazing
trying to get into jail. He played all sorts of sports. He was into sports, just an athlete in high school. He was all county in baseball. He set the school record with 38 points in a basketball game, and had a lot of scholarship offers for playing football also, where he could throw a ball 80 yards in the air, a football, which is, it's like NFL level type shit right there.
That's pretty impressive.
It's not bad. Well, he's going to be a major league pitcher, so his arm strength is not in question here. Like he can gun some shit. He has a strong arm. He says, quote, "I was all athlete. That's all I did. I never drank no beer. I never smoked no pot until my 2nd year in college. I didn't get into any trouble. What I did was try to find a place to play ball." That's all he was interested in, was just 24/7. Which, I mean, at least you don't have to avert your gaze when you're playing ball.
Right.
Like at home,
I don't want to be at home.
Home is so uncomfortable. You have no idea. It's just so uncomfortable. I can't take it. It's just the worst. It's just
that is hysterical. So, try to stay away from his house so he doesn't accidentally lock eyes on one of those stumps.
So lop off an appendage, and your kid's going to be a great athlete. That's how it works. He never missed a day of school at all, ever.
He hates being at home.
From 1st grade to 12th grade. He had perfect attendance.
That is incredible.
I will anything I can do to not be in this house. That's what that tells me.
These stumps are haunting me.
That and the two sisters. I don't know what it is, but he just wants out of this damn house.
Unbelievable.
He said, quote, "I was Mr. Athlete. I had more scholarship offers in football than baseball. I didn't understand people who wanted to get high. I thought you couldn't do anything if you were on drugs." So foreshadowing of later on when he understands it a great deal. Just a great deal. A whole lot.
Yeah.
His understanding really comes crystal. 1973, he graduates high school and goes to Montreat College in Montreat, North Carolina. I think it was just close.
Okay.
Little place there. Where he is in 1974, as a sophomore, he's drafted by the Kansas City Royals.
Wow, they found him in Montreat?
Not too shabby. Yeah, they have good scouting back then.
Yeah.
Back then, scouting, I've read actually a
Who'd you just say?
who do you mean? He didn't play for them.
Oh,
don't worry.
damn it.
No. It's coming. It's not them. It's not a
But he
blue team.
drafted him.
They drafted him, but he never went there.
How about that?
He refused to go.
That was my first guess.
Was it?
The Royals guess number one.
They drafted him,
but
he never wore the uniform.
Okay.
But yeah, back then, scouts, I read this one book that a scout wrote in 1983 about scouting and about this whole thing. And it's like, back then, like, they used to send all these fucking scouts all over the place. I mean, scouts had territories, and it was your job to know every goddamn player in your region of the country. Every little college, every little semi-pro league, everything. You knew the heartbeat of that shit, because if somebody came in and found that person
and you didn't know,
the team's like, why the fuck didn't you find that guy? You're in that territory, so you really have to get your shit together. Plus, they have nothing else to do. Their job is to go around from every day and find a game to watch and find somebody to, so you end up finding shit. But he ends up being drafted. It's June 5th, 1974 by the Kansas City Royals in the 28th round of the 1974 amateur draft. He does not sign, though, with Kansas City. He was chosen 4 picks after Paul Molitor was chosen.
Wow.
Which is interesting. Molitor was chosen by the Cardinals in the 28th round, 4 picks later, 4 picks earlier, but Molitor didn't sign either. He ended up going to the University of Minnesota, and then he was the 3rd overall pick 3 years later after college, and he ended up having a Hall of Fame career with the Brewers, obviously. But in this draft, it was Paul Molitor. Dale Murphy was in this draft, the old A's. Remember the reverse baseball card in the 80s, early 90s there? Rick Sutcliffe, the pitcher, the red-bearded pitcher who's still an announcer and everything now.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah, he's still on all sorts of shit. And Willie Wilson, the old coke-addled center fielder for the Kansas City Royals in the 80s. Good player.
I can't believe that Paul Molitor is that old.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was 18 then. They tried to draft him out of high school. That's what happens a lot of times in baseball. They'll draft a guy out of high school. They don't like their draft position, so they go to college, and then they get drafted a lot higher and you make a lot more money 3 years later.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
I see him in like the same class as like Chipper Jones, though.
No,
I don't know why.
No, he was in the 80s, mid 70s, 80s, because he was that 82, that good Brewers team. He was a big part of that team with Robin Yount and all those guys. And later on, though, he played. Molitor played forever because he played for the Twins for a long time after that. I mean, Molitor kicked around. Did he play for
the Blue Jays?
Yes, he did. Absolutely. Yeah, Molitor kicked around quite a bit. So June 15th, 1975, the next year after the draft, he's not drafted Sammy Stewart again, but he's signed as an amateur free agent by the Baltimore Orioles, a non-blue team.
God damn it, you're right. That is orange and black.
They are. 100%.
Not a shade of blue in that shit.
Not shit for blue. So other than Cal Ripken's eyes, there's not a lot of blue in the Orioles. So, so that's, he's drafted by them and he signs by them. Okay. So he plays 2 years in college and signed by them. He said that, he started drinking a little bit in his freshman year in college, and then his sophomore year in college, he started smoking a little bit of weed and fucking around like that. I mean, nothing crazy. No. He does have an arrest in 1975. Okay. He's arrested for possession of marijuana, shortly after he's drafted, but the charge is eventually dismissed in court. It didn't seem like it was a big deal. It was a small amount of marijuana, and it wasn't made into a giant federal case. So,
and back then, it took a lot more weed to.
Yeah, well, back then, though, weed was a lot more illegal, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
was like,
That's crazy.
You go to jail for 10 years for having a joint in your pocket in
so
fucking
nuts.
Texas and
Couldn't
shit.
even get high on it anyway.
Yeah, it was shit weed.
Right.
And you go to prison for getting mildly buzzed and having a headache in an hour.
Today,
like, what the hell is that?
2 hits of that joint will ruin
great.
you for 8 hours.
Oh, it's so good now. It's so good, and you can just have
and
it.
it's just there.
It's just fantastic.
The cops are like, have a lovely day.
It's just everywhere. It's just
You're
everywhere.
Like, I actually need your help, officer.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Am I okay? I don't know where I am.
Pulse?
I don't know where I am.
Is my heart beating? I know it's beating because I can feel it in my eyelids.
You know how that goes. But is it beating too fast or too slow? Either one of those.
Because that shit's going slow.
You just
Did I already just say that?
Edibles. You just described edibles, my friend. You just described me at live shows. Inside.
Yeah.
Outside, I'm like, hey! So, 75-76, he goes to play minor league ball. He goes to, it's a rookie league. He plays for the Bluefield Orioles. This is in the Appalachian League. Wow, Bluefield, West Virginia.
Eesh.
Yeah, this is...
Good Lord.
This is where they send you to go. You're not home anymore,
right.
motherfucker. Go live in the mountains of West Virginia by yourself for a while.
We
Enjoy.
drafted you, now earn the majors.
Yeah, absolutely. He begins summer of 75. He made 4 starts and had 14 relief appearances for Bluefield. He had a 6.09 ERA that year, though, or 6.07 ERA. So
that's not good.
Not great. He was roughed up pretty good in his, that happens to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
They basically don't care what you do in rookie ball. They just want you to be away from home for a while. They just want you to be in the system of get up in a shitty motel room, travel to the next town, because that's just, you need to live with the team, be a team, mate. It's all that shit. Baseball it's such a long season going from place to place to place.
Nuts.
Like, you almost need your minor league experience as much as for the baseball part of it. You need it just for the experience of doing these actions.
Is it 162
It's 162 games, man. And it's 3 days and a travel and 4 days and a travel and 3 days and a travel. It's a lot.
Jesus.
And teams play, 21 days in a row sometimes and shit like that. That's 15 days in a row. That's fucking, you can say, they're just standing out there in the field. That's a lot to get up if you travel and get up and go to a hotel and get all your shit there and go to the park, and they're at the park 5 hours earlier before the game. So they're fucking around. They're getting treatment for their, pulled, my fucking calf is a little tight and they're getting treatment for that.
Got this blister on my thumb.
Yeah, they're working on something out in the field. They're doing something. They watch film now too. These guys, they watch their at-bats. Pitchers watch their pitching sequences.
These places have like those dot things that you go into a batting cage and then you work on your swing digitally.
Yeah, they do all this shit. Then they play the game. They leave. They get out of there at 11 o'clock at night, and they go and they got to find something to eat. Yeah, they got to find some dinner. And they got to do the whole thing. It's a long thing to do every single day and not have a day off at all. Like that just grinds on your body. And then if you do make a diving play or run into a wall or get hit in the elbow with a baseball, then you have to keep playing with that fucking pain. So it happens. So this is training for that, basically, the minors. They don't really care what you do there. It's one of those things here. On this Bluefield team with him, Byron McLaughlin. Episode, was it 91 or something, I believe?
I don't even know.
He's going to play on the same minor league team with a couple of our all-stars here. A couple crime and sports all-stars. So Byron McLaughlin, who was a con man and a really fucking wild episode there. He was a lot of fun.
Another pitcher, right?
Another pitcher. Yeah, they were on the same staff. 1976, he plays for the Miami Orioles. So, it's the Florida State League down there. So for Miami, for the Orioles, he has a 2.42 ERA the next year.
A little better.
12 wins, 8 losses, 2.44 ERA, or 2.42 ERA, 12 complete games, 182 innings pitched, and only 147 hits. So that's some shit right there. That's doing pretty well. That's not bad at all. So they move him up to A-ball the next year at Miami. That was Miami. So the next year they move him to Double-A. That's where they try to see if you're a real guy or not.
Really push you in it.
Yeah, because A-ball, sometimes guys will dominate. Double-A is where the talent is. They always say that. Triple-A is kind of like a way station in between, but Double-A is where
go in each direction.
Yeah, the most talent is in Double-A because that's where they're putting their big time prospects against other people's. But it's everybody.
Rarely dudes going down.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly. Now they're not gonna.
If you wash out of Triple-A, just fucking call it quits.
You'll go Single-A sometimes, but the Double-A is that's the players there. That's these guys are going to be something. This is hopefully prospects. So this is the Charlotte Orioles. So he gets to go home to North Carolina. So I'm sure he's happy about that. So he plays for them. He also plays for the Rochester Red Wings.
There are so many minor league teams around this country.
So, especially like in the 70s, that was still kind of the bloated system. In the 80s, they kind of started
trimming them down,
winnowing away these minor league teams because these small towns started dying in the 80s.
Yeah, you can't sustain that.
Yeah, they used to, all these small towns had these teams, and then when they die, the economies die in these small towns, they're not going to go spend money at the baseball game for shitty fucking minor league teams.
Can't even afford the Texaco.
Yeah. In the 40s, you can't even, in the 40s and the 30s, every goddamn, every town in the 50s, holy shit, that was the peak.
Well, the war kind of, it helped baseball boom because it was like everybody coming together for a common purpose of watching these games.
Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, and even though all the good players were gone, it was still there was something.
You're still embracing it for the sake that it's America's game.
At least they're still doing it. It was one of those things. The only thing that was still normal, even if it wasn't with the normal guys, it was still there's still 3 strikes to an out, and there's still 3 outs to an inning, and it's something you can count on, even if you're, even if
and
there's
football
war
wasn't
going
what
on.
it is. So
no, football. They did the single wing back then. They didn't even have the.
But was it just like
It was quarterbacks running the ball most of the time.
When did that start?
Terrible. It's Sid Luckman with the Bears there, George Hallis. Yeah. That's where they went into the T.
What year was it?
Late 40s, 46, 47, I want to say. He played for Columbia Luckman, and Jesus, why do I know this shit?
I don't know.
And he came in.
Canton team too. There was only a few though, right?
Well, no, the 40s was more NFL like you think of it now. The 20s was when the teams used to fold and come up and fold and shit like that. But the 40s, it was just less teams, and some of them weren't there yet. There was competing leagues that were going to fold into them. Early 50s, the Browns folded in, the Rams folded in.
I don't think I know the two when it all merged to come into the NFL. I don't think I know what year
AFL,
that was.
Well, it started in the mid 60s. I think they agreed to merge. They played the first Super Bowl in 66,
and that's
then
what
they
it is today.
Fully merged in 70 and became like one
in the 40s,
corporate entity.
There was football teams everywhere.
There was the NFL, and then there was semi-pro teams around and shit like that because the NFL had 10 teams or dozen teams, and they were
baseball was
all in the Northeast.
Yeah,
there was no in the central part of the country. That's it. Baseball was the thing. And in the 50s especially, baseball was the shit.
Right.
I mean, it was and small town America was swelling in the 50s too.
Absolutely.
So these minor league systems were thriving, and there was just teams in every town. And
it's amazing what it did to America. It really rejuvenated their competitive spirit and brought a bunch of people together.
Well, plus, we also had the luck of having, that was after integration, so we had fucking Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays, and that was the time of Mickey Mantle and Duke Snyder and all these guys.
Beautiful time to be alive.
Beautiful time to be
apart from
the threat of constant nuclear war, and also the social problems. I was going to say, obviously, if you
civil unrest,
if you were Willie Mays, you could play for the Giants, but you still had problems in certain parts of the country and shit like that. So it wasn't a perfect time, but for baseball, it was a good time. If you let's say owned a baseball team, this was a good time to be alive.
Beautiful.
And if you played for a baseball team, not a bad time to be alive. Besides the awful pay discrepancy. So 1978, he plays a little more for Rochester there. He's 13-10 with a 3.80 ERA. So not bad. Good enough to get his major league debut September 1st, 1978. So he's a September call-up.
Hell yeah.
He's one of the guys that comes right up, and they get him in right on the first day they have him.
Yeah.
I think they're interested in him. He starts a game, 5.1 innings pitched, 6 hits, 9 strikeouts, which is great. No walks. Only 2 earned runs and a win.
Not bad.
Terrific opener, and he even does even more than that. This is against the White Sox here at home in Baltimore. He struck out the side in the second and third innings.
Fantastic.
Which is 6 consecutive strikeouts, tied the major league record for a pitcher's debut.
Incredible.
For consecutive strikeouts. And he said, quote, Rick Dempsey, who was the Orioles catcher, said, turn around and look at the scoreboard. So I turned around and it said Sammy Stewart has just tied a record by striking out 6 consecutive batters in his first major league appearance. The record was set by Brooklyn Dodgers player in 1954.
Holy shit.
It's an old record. So he said, well, I turned around and threw 3 of the hardest sliders I've ever thrown and got the record.
Wow.
So he ended up getting 7 in a row. The only other player to strike out the 7 players in their debut in a row was Steven Strasburg, did it in 2010.
How about that?
That's it. So they're the only 2.
That hung for 40 years almost.
That hung, and nobody broke it. They just tied it.
Unbelievable.
So, not too shabby. Sliders has secret secret weapon. He talks about being in a camp with Ted Williams there when he was young.
Sure.
And Ted Williams said, "Hey, kid, you got a slider?" And he said, "Sure do." And he threw it, and he said, "Good, because if that pitch never would have been invented, I'd have hit 600. He said he knew that was a good pitch because that was the pitch Ted Williams couldn't hit that he told him. So
I've been told he was quite the smug bastard.
Pretty good. Ted Williams?
Yeah,
he was. Dude, he was a fighter pilot. Yeah. He hit 400. Yeah. Like, he's got to be... Like, he's a fighter pilot, so he's a narcissistic, smug lunatic right away.
Smuggest dick on earth.
And he's great at baseball. He's good at everything.
Right.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, after he retired, he went on to be a world-class fisherman, if I'm not mistaken. Like, set records for being a great I can't remember if it was fishing or something like that. But
something that he did, and he was the best.
He went on to be a hobby that he was the best at ever. He's just he could be the best birdhouse maker ever. Like, he's just fucking he's just good at shit. He's just one of those guys. There's nothing you can do. One of those people.
And his demise is glued to a tuna can on accident.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Did they end up burying his head?
I don't think so.
Is it still frozen?
It's still here. It's up on Cave Creek Road in Phoenix, isn't it? No, I'm serious.
It is. It's still over there at cryogenics.
Yeah, I think it's
still frozen.
I think it's here in town in Phoenix.
It's glued to a tuna can.
Let's go get it and put it in the studio. What do you say? Who wants to donate Ted Williams' head to the studio?
I want it.
I want it right here. So,
I want to see if that tuna can's got tuna in it.
No, let's check it out, man. We need to find out. These things we need to know. So this is the team back then. Rick Dempsey was the catcher. Eddie Murray, who confused me, like I said, so much as a child when I thought he was the most talented man on earth, that he could be a great baseball player and be in 48 hours in Trading Places. I was blown away by that as a 4-year-old. Wow, he must be the greatest person ever. And then they went, they don't look the same.
They look a little different.
He looks so different when he plays baseball than when he's in movies. And I went, oh. Murphy Murray. Okay. They don't look alike. Right. I loved Eddie Murray's 70s. He had those big chops, the big mutton chops that went to like the middle of his cheeks, and a big old fucking mustache, and a big fucking, like a big, nice, like microphone, like the foam,
the wind
like
blocker.
A wind blocker on a microphone, fucking solid afro, man. That was the shit. Eddie Murphy
just shaved his chin.
He was a suave-looking motherfucker in the 70s, man.
A reverse goatee.
Oh, you want him to have a fur coat on and shit and just be like...
If I just shaved my chin, I could have that.
You could have that, but not the way he had it.
Not that afro.
Oh, man, it was sweet. So sweet, sticking out of his hat, Oscar Gamble style, man. He was a bad motherfucker.
Unbelievable.
Not bad at all here. Ken Singleton was on that team, who was a longtime Yankee announcer forever, if you're a Yankee fan there. So the 78 Orioles, they are finished fourth in their division here. They go 90-71, though, which is pretty goddamn good. That's back when there wasn't 18 divisions.
Okay.
So it was much harder to win a division, and there was no wild cards and all that kind of shit. He comes up, though. That's his first appearance, so a good start. He ends up pitching total in 2 games and 11.1 innings pitched, 10 hits, not too shabby at all, 318 earned run average. So you look at him and you go, that might be a guy we're looking at in camp next year to make the team. Now 1979 comes around. In August of 79, mid-season, Sammy and his wife Peggy, his wife, he marries his high school sweetheart Peggy. She came up with him all through high school, and she said like he was the most straight-laced guy in high school. Like she would smoke weed because it was the fucking 70s, early 70s. No, she would smoke weed and he'd be like, I don't know why you do that. I don't know what's up. Like he was real like judgmental about people.
Having fun, pussy. Hit it.
Well, he has a little too much fun later on. We'll say that. Well, they have a son in 1979, August 17th. Not the third? Not a third.
Oh.
They have a son named Colin. He breaks the cycle.
Good boy.
One thing for Sammy. He tries early on. He's got his head on his shoulders. Tries to break the cycle. Colin is born with cystic fibrosis. Colin is very sick. Has a real problem.
What is that?
It's a lung problem.
Okay.
And it's bad stuff. Kids die from that.
Of course.
Like, it's really bad.
Anything that's a disease of the lungs.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things you could be born with. It's very, very bad. Not good at all. So that's something they're going to have to deal with as we go through this. They're always going to the doctor, and he's always like coming from doctor's appointments, and his son's got to do this and that. So he's always has a lot going on outside of baseball with his son, which is really tough, honestly. So 1979, though, Baltimore finishes 102-57.
Holy hell!
Crushed it that year. Absolutely crushed it. Really good season for him too, or just good season season for the team. He plays in 31 games, only starts 3, so they kind of put him more in as a reliever. Mm-hmm. This is when that starts. 117 innings pitched, 96 hits, so that's fantastic. Not bad at all. Not a lot of strikeouts, only 71, but he doesn't walk a lot of guys either. So, 71 strikeouts, 71 walks. So he's even on that. You'd like that to get a little better, but he's like 22 years old. Yeah. So you're fine with that. That's okay. 24 years old. And the team's doing well. They go to the playoffs. Back then it was only you played the championship series and then the World Series.
That's it.
That was it. Because it
was that 8 teams make it?
They had an East and a West in the National and American leagues. And
there's 4 teams.
Well, it would be an East and a West, and your winner of your first place in East and West would play each other in the AL and NLCSs, and then they'd go to the World Series. So 4 teams go to the playoffs. That's it.
Wow.
4 divisions, 4 teams.
And then they realized there's money in this shit.
Yeah, they said, shit, people watch the playoffs. They go to these fucking games. They sell out like crazy. Yeah. What are we doing? They should cut the regular season down, just have more playoffs.
Right.
Just a lot of them.
Make that shit 80 games like basketball. Yeah. That's grueling enough.
That's brutal. Yeah. Those playoffs are long, because they have so many days off.
Yeah.
At least the baseball playoffs, they move it along. So they win 3-1. They win the ALCS over the Angels and move on to the World Series against the Pirates. And this is the We Are Family Pirates with Willie Stargell and all that shit. You're not beating a team with a song that they all have like a video they dance to. And
I don't know, the Jets got one too.
Yeah, well, that's true. But the Bears did too, and that's a problem.
That's a good point.
But you're not beating this team.
The Eagles have had one for years, and they just barely won.
The 79 Pirates are a coked up, fucking really talented menace of a team. They're really good and really talented and on so much cocaine, it's not even funny. Just so much. The Pittsburgh drug trials,
that's them.
At this point, the Steelers and the Pirates were the two coked out, most coked out. Pittsburgh was the cokiest city in sports for some reason.
They were passing it to each other, I guarantee it.
Super fucking weird. But they end up he plays a big role in in going to the World Series too. He has a couple of big wins, a couple of big appearances in the playoffs that are important for the team. But they end up going to the Game 7 and losing to the Pirates.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No shame in going to the 7th game of the World Series. But you didn't even remember they were in the World Series. That's the problem. You're this close to either being forever champions or nobody forgot you were even. Everyone forgot you were even there. That's fucked up.
Have they won since then?
Who?
The Orioles?
Well, let's talk about it.
All right.
1980, Baltimore Orioles finished 100 wins and 62 losses, which is 100 wins is incredible. Yeah. And they don't go to the playoffs. They finish second and don't go to the playoffs.
How is there any team that's winning that much?
100 wins. Yeah. That's insanity. He has a good season again, 33 games. Yeah. He starts 3, so it's probably a spot starter. Otherwise, throws 118 innings and has a 3.56 ERA. Last year it was 3.52, and he threw 1 inning less. Okay. So he's very consistent right away. They're like, well, we know what we have.
Absolutely.
Few less walks, few more strikeouts that year too, which is pretty good. 1981 the Orioles finished 59-46. This is a strike-shortened season here, and this is Earl Weaver is their manager here.
Fantastic.
Our buddy Earl Weaver, he's been their manager, but I just love Earl Weaver. He's a psychopath, crazy person who wouldn't exist in today's game because they have instant replay. So you'd get no Earl Weaver, no Billy Martin.
Him yelling, I've won more than I lost. The guy goes, no, you haven't. No. Games, goddammit.
Yeah, games.
You're right. You're right, Earl.
It's so fucking funny. I love it. It's so amazing. This year he goes 4-8. Usually I'm not like big on the records because relief pitchers' records don't matter. Because it's just weird the situations you come in on. You can't go by record. You have to go by WHIP and ERA and shit like that to kind of really understand hits and innings pitched and that sort of shit. This year though he throws in 29 games, starts 3 games again, a 2.32 ERA.
That's terrific.
Which leads the American League.
Hell yeah! So
not too shabby there. That's pretty good if you're leading the American League in ERA. So now they're like, okay, now we got something. Once again, those strikeouts and walks, 57 strikeouts, 57 walks.
Listen, you're getting the outs. Who gives a shit?
You'd like it to be 2-1. You don't want your relief pitcher you don't want to bring a guy in the 8th and have him fucking walk 2 guys because that just scares the shit out of everybody. But some guys need that to get the other guys out. It's a weird thing that they need to get themselves into trouble.
The bases are loaded.
They need the pressure. Rod,
you walk two when there's a bases loaded situation. You got 2 runs on the board.
Rod used to tell me he hated when they'd bring him in for a save when they had a 3-run lead, because he's like, I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. He goes, I just couldn't get into it. He goes, it was like, I don't know, whatever. He goes, if once they got like a hit off me or something, he'd be like, all right, now if they get a home run and they're all right, cool, and I could, he
got 3 runs to dick with.
He wanted to come in with 2 guys on and nobody out and a 1-run lead, because that's fucking interesting. That's what he likes.
Gambling.
That's what you want a relief pitcher to want, though. That's the thing. You want your relief pitcher to want that, because some guys don't want any part of that whatsoever. That's not the situation they want to go in on.
If I'm a relief pitcher, I'm that guy that doesn't want that.
He was like, that's the only situation I want to go in. It's not fun otherwise. I was like, Jesus, you're a different kind of cat.
Whatever numbers you put up are the same. You know what I mean?
It's just a different, he needs to feel the pressure. He liked it better that way. It was weird.
Some guys are like, in any profession, some guys just work better under pressure. You know what I mean? So
it's one of those things.
That's what Rod was, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you want in a relief pitcher.
Absolutely.
That's why he was a good closer.
Good point.
Guy like that with nerves. So 1982 season with the Orioles, Earl Weaver again, manager, 94 wins, 68 losses. Again, 94 wins is huge, and they finish second and don't go to the playoffs.
Unbelievable.
So there's so many good teams back then that just died in the regular season that won 90+ games that you never heard shit about.
Can you imagine, though, if they had thought of the idea of having lengthened playoff season?
Great.
Had they had a lengthened playoff season, though, we could have had some of the best games ever.
That's
just because these teams were so good.
And you don't know who would have went, because so many times the wild card team wins the World Series now, and they go to the World Series. The Orioles could have went. Who knows?
So interesting.
Could have been very interesting. Instead, we get
dominated.
We got two teams that were good during the regular season. Yeah. Great. This year he throws in 38 games, starts 12 games, the rest in relief, 139 innings pitched, 4.14 ERA this year, so a little bit higher, but like we said, ERA is kind of, I don't know, his whip is 1.4, so that'll tell you something. That's not amazing, but it's not horrible.
The other part is that it could have ruined people like this. We could know who this guy could be, a fucking Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
because
a lot of people would have given him a chance.
The playoffs sometimes make or break players.
Oh, they do. They make people famous.
Somebody shine. Yeah,
they absolutely. Mr. October. Yeah. I mean, everyone knew who Reggie Jackson was anyway. He's a Hall of Famer, but he's fucking everyone knows who Mr. October is because
of his October performance.
He had a big playoff game against Charlie
Rizzo playing for the Cubs.
Yeah, huge.
Nobody watches the regular season. You watch the fucking playoffs.
Yeah, because people, by numbers, nobody watches that either anymore. It's pretty sad. But
you get stars.
You do. It's true. You get fame. $550,000 he makes this year. So for 1982, that's not too shabby. That's good.
That's great scratch.
That is good money in 1982, especially if you live in North Carolina.
Hell yeah.
It's not bad. 1983 Orioles finished 98-64. First, actually, go to the playoffs this year. We'll talk about their playoff run here. He went 9-4 with a 3.62 ERA in 58 games.
That's not awful.
No, not at all. 362 is fine. 144.1 innings pitched, 95 strikeouts, 67 walks. So we finally figured that out a little bit here. Problem is this season, during the All-Star break, he's arrested for a DUI.
Oh, no.
And they, in the papers and everything else, they literally, one thing said it was just boys will be boys. They literally said that.
Are you shitting me?
Word for word.
Black and white print.
Black and white.
Wow.
Hey, boys will be boys. This happens sometimes. Like, he's just out having some fun. That's literally what this meant nothing back then.
My God.
A baseball player, first of all, a baseball player who wasn't drunk in the middle of the night, people were skeptical of that guy. Who the fuck's that guy? Yeah, what's his problem?
The fuck else is he taking?
Every once in a while, you're going to get a DUI, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen. So, he's arrested for that during the All-Star break. Apparently it was at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
He is weaving from side to side of the road. They said like white line to white line.
Oh no.
Weaving, probably falling asleep. It's 5:30 in the morning after leaving a friend's birthday party. And, he's arrested. He's convicted and given a fine and an 18-month probation.
It's pretty steep.
Yeah, but they literally were
boys will be boys. 18 months.
18-month probation, but it wasn't a big deal. They weren't like, we have a problem and this guy's an issue. They were just like, oh yeah, it's a baseball player out getting drunk. Of course. I mean, good old boy. Who cares? No problems.
When did that stigma become like a big deal now?
The 90s.
You think so?
The 90s when everything became a big deal.
98, 99?
No, before that.
Really?
Before that. Late 80s, they started showing those commercials with the people holding the mugs and they'd crash into each other and beer would fly everywhere. And
that's true.
Yeah, friends don't let friends drive drunk and all that shit. That was the late 80s.
Okay.
That's when they started that shit.
That's when they're like, we have people dying after
this
these
is
games.
A lot of people going on. People are just fucking flying through windshields. Everyone's drunk on the road. Yeah. So, but he ends up, like I said, 3.62 ERA. Not a bad year. And the Orioles have an even better year. They go to the ALCS where they beat the White Sox in the ALCS. Now he pitched twice in the ALCS against the White Sox. He had a score. He's pitched an inning in game 1 and was scoreless through a scoreless inning, and then threw 4 shutout innings to close out game 3 of this series. So big deal for that. And they end up winning the series against the White Sox and going on to the Phillies in the World Series. This was a big deal. This was like Cal Ripken's coming out party, and this was all of that shit here. Huge part in the World Series here. In the third game, the series was tied 1 game apiece. He came in with a 1-run lead and struck out 3 guys without allowing a hit in the 7th and 8th innings, which is nice. He also struck out Mike Schmidt in that time, in that stretch, and while the tying run was on second base, and Baltimore ended up winning the game. And then the next inning, he had a 1-run lead again, and they bring him in the 6th inning, and he got 7 outs, so 2 1/3 innings to keep them off, and Tippy Martinez closed it out, and the Orioles won the World Series.
How about that?
So yeah, that's 5 games. They win the World Series, and Stewart was second in MVP voting for the World Series.
Jesus.
Second in MVP World Series.
I have no idea who this fuck is.
Rick Dempsey. That's what I mean. He's always this close, this guy.
Unbelievable.
He does make $550,000.
Gotcha.
He gets a ring. Yeah. He's a champion.
Absolutely.
Grace. Let's just say that. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse. Let's just say that.
It's fascinating how much alcohol has shaped this country, in that without DUIs and how bad it was, cars are not as safe as they are today. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason they
were like, people are going to be shit-faced. They're going to crash into things. We better make it safe.
Make them softer.
We better make this a little cushion in there.
Can we make them drive pillows? No?
Yeah,
well, then we'll make pillows explode around them.
That'll work there. Yeah, let's do that. No Nerf cars? No? Okay, well.
That's incredible.
Can't hold an engine in Nerf? Fine.
I don't think I ever put that together, that alcohol is the reason for that, but it certainly is.
Oh, yeah, this country revolves around alcohol.
And alcohol
everything does.
Makes way too much money to slow that shit down.
It revolves around it, this whole country.
That is amazing.
It's fucking interesting, isn't it?
I've been too drunk to realize
That's what happened. That's the problem, is when you're that drunk, you don't even notice.
It's amazing.
It's fucking awesome. So, 84 season, Orioles are 85-77 and 5th in the AL East. So, not quite as good here. He has a decent year, 3.29 ERA.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. 60 games, 93 innings pitched, 56 strikeouts, and 47 walks. So he's back in that ratio. Makes $550,000 again, though.
Fantastic.
Not bad. 1985 season, he's with the Orioles again. 83-78 for 4th in the AL East. Again, not wonderful. But him, not too bad. He has 3.61 ERA in 56 games, 129.2 innings pitched. So, I mean, not bad.
Decent player on a bad team.
He's a good middle reliever. Yeah. He's a decent middle reliever. He makes $581,250 that year.
He made more money there than any season before. Didn't win shit.
It didn't win shit. No, the team was terrible. Well, not terrible, but very mediocre. Now, December 17th, 1985, he is traded by the Orioles to the Boston Red Sox.
God damn it. Another barely blue team.
They got some blue, but we're going to say the Reds.
Mostly red.
He's traded for Jackie Gutierrez. So now he's going to the Red Sox for the 86 season. Okay. So this guy has timing of where he is. 86 is the Red Sox and the Mets World Series and Bill Buckner and all that shit.
Yeah.
He's on this team, which... Didn't know that, did you? That's a real famous team. This guy just blended into the woodwork here. You never noticed. 86 Boston, 95-66, first in the AL East, and they beat the Angels in the World Series, killing Donnie Moore in the process. If you don't know, Donnie Moore is an Angels relief pitcher who this is a 4-3 series, a championship series. So it went to Game 7, and Donnie Moore ended up blowing the game against the Red Sox. Was it Dave Henderson?
I think so.
Hit one off him, and Donnie Moore ended up killing himself about 2 years later, and everyone just said he never recovered from it. He just never recovered. He gave up the run that ruined his team's season.
That's a competitor.
Yeah, and he just never got over it. He also killed his wife at the same time. So he shot his wife and then himself in front of their children in the driveway.
Scream at Dave Henderson.
Yeah, he actually screamed, "You fucked Dave Henderson, didn't you?" And then he shot her and himself. And the kids have nightmares about Dave Henderson coming in their window.
That's too bad.
It is, man. So it's a good team anyway, but they beat the Angels in that crazy series. He has a 4.38 ERA for them this year in only 27 games. They only pitch him in 63 innings, so not a lot. 63 innings, and he gives up 64 hits. So that's not too fantastic, and they don't have a lot of trust in him, and they don't pitch him in the World Series.
Really?
They never pitch him in the World Series, which he is bitter about later on. And
they got a ring, motherfuckers.
Yeah, like he's good under pressure.
Yeah.
His whole thing is, I've never given up a postseason run. So maybe you should put me in until I start giving one up.
It's a hell of an argument.
It's hard to argue that. I don't know. They put me in with guys on second and a 1-run lead, and I strike 7 guys out of 9. So what do you want from me? Like, that's what happened. And so put me the fuck in, and they don't do it. The Red Sox have just a history of terrible pitching decisions. Yeah, their whole Rod, the only person, well, 2 people that he ever hated in baseball was Joe Kerrigan, who was the Red Sox pitching coach and then manager there, because he said he fucking ruined his career, basically. He hated his guts. Joe Kerrigan, and he hated Orel Hershiser, too.
Really?
Hated his guts.
Really?
Rod liked everybody. And if you bring up Orel Hershiser, he'll go, "That fucking cunt. I hate that motherfucker." Fuck you, Orel Hershiser. Hates, never has a bad word. The only thing, if you research him, the only thing you'll ever find a negative word he ever said was in the press about Orel Hershiser. He called him a pussy or something in the press. Everybody else he likes except Orel Hershiser and Joe Kerrigan. They can go fuck themselves.
It's hilarious.
He's like,
Orel does look like Howdy Doody. He's just such a square.
He said he's such a fucking asshole.
Really?
You just want to punch him.
He's a dork, and then he's an asshole
dick.
on top
exactly
of it?
what he looks like. That's how he is, he said.
Terrible.
That's the way Rod put it. See how he looks? That's how he is. That's a good way of putting it.
So much
You just want to fucking punch him. I hate him. I was like, that's great.
He folds the toilet paper before wiping his ass.
Well, he folds it in like an origami that he learned
Something
in camp.
That scoops.
Yeah. So
fuck you, Orel.
Fuck you, Orel. It's great, man. There's an old quote. I can't remember. I found it one time of him talking. It was like he said something positive, and then it was like, and fuck Orel Hershiser, less certain terms than that.
It's got to be the only person on earth named Orel.
Yeah.
That's the worst fucking name
Orel's
on earth.
A bad name. There's a whole college in Oral Roberts. That's a bad name. You're not going there.
That's his dad regretting that he fucked that woman. I should have gotten Orel.
That's super Christian name.
Is it really?
Oh, Orel?
It sounds fucking Mormon.
No, it's Christian. So whatever.
Yeah, same thing.
Religious.
Yeah.
That was Orel. Yeah.
Is that
Orel
what
Redenbacher.
He was? Oh, I think that is it.
Orville.
Orville.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, that's not.
I was doing that on purpose, but. So
you had me there for a second. I was like, is that really his name?
No, it's not. So
it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's just wrong. Is that wrong? It feels like a pinned up flannel sleeve. It just feels not right. Something's up here.
Oh, this is awkward.
So in the World Series, if you don't know, if you're young here, the Mets ended up winning this World Series in 7 games. In Game 6, Boston had the game won, and then gave up a series of base hits and a wild pitch and a pass ball. A whole bunch of fucked up things happened, culminating in a ball rolling through Bill Buckner's legs while the game was already tied. So don't say they would have won. People are like, well, they would have won.
Shit to do.
Nope, game was tied.
Right.
Still had to win another inning. So don't blame Buckner for that shit. And anyway, he shouldn't have been in there at the end of the game. The man was all fucking tape and ice. He was a zombie. They wanted to put him out there so he could celebrate with the team because he was such a big part of the team, and he couldn't get down that far at that point. That late in the day, his back was
fucked. He can hop. That's about it.
That's it. He hobbled, man. He was in such bad shape. Great player. Bill Buckner's so the guy who's gotten the most fucked of anyone in baseball. Borderline Hall of Fame player.
Sure.
That good of a player, and all everyone remembers him for is one fuck up when he was so old and hurt that he
couldn't do it anymore anyway.
He shouldn't have been out there anyway. They should have pulled him for defensive purposes and that. Anyway, so whatever. But that's this thing, and the Mets won the World Series, and it gave us Lenny Dykstra and Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry and Keith Hernandez and tons of great cocaine stories. So
thank God for Bill Buckner.
Thank God for Bill Buckner. Now this year, he doesn't pitch in the postseason. He blames Sammy blames everything on the manager John McNamara. He told the Boston Globes that he blamed McNamara for losing the series. He said, "Quote: McNamara did not want me at all. He laid down on me, and it cost us the World Series. I hated to see Al Nipper come out of the bullpen when I've never been scored on in a postseason, and my arm was feeling great." Yeah. So he saw somebody, and the relievers that Boston was bringing in were not great pitchers, and he's sitting there like jacked up, like I can fucking do this. And
throw.
Yeah, these guys were looking scared, and they brought in like Bruce Hurst and those guys. They looked like they were going to cry.
If I were him, I would have sat on that bench wearing that ring and just scratching my face with that hand the whole fucking time.
I have this.
Just having that ring.
Let me put it on my middle finger for you. So
I'll bet he sized it for that one.
Probably.
He did.
He makes $381,113 for this year. He thought that he was going to make a bunch of money in free agency because he comes up on free agency now, and this is his time to cash in.
Hell yeah.
Make some cash. He buys a big house in the Boston suburbs before he gets a contract. But this was one of the years, 87, 88, was when the owners were colluding with each other to keep salaries down. And they actually had to pay millions and millions of dollars later on. It was a federal lawsuit that they lost. Okay. It was 100% collusion of the owners. Andre Dawson was the MVP and couldn't get a contract. The guy had 47 home runs, and no one offered him a contract. Nothing. Because the Cubs, he was the Cubs player, and the Cubs offered him no money, and
nobody matched it.
And they said, "Well, that's what they were doing. If you would offer a team, your team would offer you a contract that was shit, and if you didn't want it, none of the other teams would sign you. That's
unbelievable.
That's owner collusion.
That's so shitty.
That's the reserve clause without the reserve clause.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, and it's illegal actually.
Yeah,
and they all got sued for collusion and had to pay out untold millions to every player they did
Dawson
this to.
Got a huge chunk of that.
He did.
Good.
He did because he got fucked as hard as
anyone. That guy was awesome.
And he waited. That was his time to finally cash in. He was late in his career. He had a great year. Finally his time, and they fucked him over.
There's only 3 players that you remember from the Cubs. You know what I mean?
Back then it was Sutcliffe, and it was fucking Dawson,
Ryan Sandberg and Dawson.
and
That's
Sean
it.
Dunston.
Not Sean Dunston.
And then Grace came later. I liked the old Cubs. So
but Dawson was so fucking great.
Oh, he was amazing. Hawk was insane.
And
great
what a
arm.
great dude.
Great arm. Everybody likes Andre Dawson. But then it comes out right after the World Series, Boston announces they will not exercise their 1987 contract options for Tom Seaver and Tony Armas, and they notified Sammy Stewart that they will not be offered contracts for 87. So he's not going to do that. He does later on. Now he really lets go on McNamara.
Oh, I'm sure.
He says, if they let me pitch, we would have won that series. So he says the problem with McNamara developed because one time a team bus, he was late for a team bus at Fenway, and it took off without him. He said he was visiting his son at the hospital, got to the ballpark, threw his bag on the bus, and he was parking his car when the bus left without him. So he said it left with his bag and without him.
That's fucked up.
He came through the bag and then parked the car like, hey, I'm here. I don't think I'm late. Here's my bag. Let me go throw my car over here. I'll be right back. And they fucking took off on him.
That's a good way to prove you were there, though. My
bag's on the fucking bus. I was obviously there. So he got pissed off and got into a fight with the traveling secretary, Jack Rogers. He says later on, I said, quote, why'd you leave when we waited on Roger Clemens and Jim Rice all year? Because they're the stars. Yeah. You wait on the stars. You don't leave without Roger Clemens because he's your fucking meal ticket. He's the reason why you're on that bus.
Because we might win this game with him.
Yeah, exactly. So apparently he said that Rogers, the traveling secretary, told him, quote, get off your rear and get to the ballpark on time. So Sammy spit at him. That was where this all happened. Yeah. He said later on, quote, "It was despicable. It was wrong for him to do that, for him to spit at him." He said, "I shouldn't have spit at him. I should have punched him like a fucking..."
Pretty gross. I probably should have kicked him in the dick.
Yeah.
Be a little more mature.
Yeah. So later on, about this incident, he had words with McNamara where he says that McNamara told him, quote, "If I was 15 years younger, I'd kick your ass." And Stewart said, quote, "If you were 15 years younger and you and your Marine son couldn't kick my ass." so I'll kick you and your kid's ass no matter how old you are.
My dad fought fucking Hitler. You think I'm scared of you?
He fought Hitler. He had one arm, and he's a big strapping. He's just a big, tough, crazy son of a bitch, this guy, that I wouldn't want to tangle with.
I wouldn't either.
And he's got big, wild, curly hair, big mustache, unibrow that does not quit.
Oh, boy.
Thick unibrow. He looks like he has two mustaches on his face because he has a big mustache and then a unibrow. So it looks like somebody copied it out, cut it out of Photoshop and copied it up to his forehead too.
That's awesome.
Wouldn't it be funny if he had two of these?
No wonder he had such a good ERA. The hitters are trying to figure out the fuck's going on his face.
Yeah, absolutely. No shit. So
fuck this ball. What's that guy out
happening? He also says that he was mad that people blame Bill Buckner for the error too. He says, quote, "I don't care if he had to ice 7 parts of his body. I'd want him out there. We wouldn't have gotten there without him. He was the leader of that team, him and Don Baylor, who was the scariest looking man I've ever seen in my life. Don Baylor, if he said jump, I'd go, how fucking high? Where? What do I need to do?
Which direction?
Scary man. He just looked mean and big and tough, and just, as a child, I was like, that dude is tough looking.
Looked like something tried to take his arm but couldn't.
Oh, God. He had these forearms on him and his face. I remember he played for the Yankees for a while, and he hit a check swing home run one time, and I was like,
how'd you do that,
how
sir?
the fuck did you do that? Like, it barely went past the middle. It was just this
Didn't
power.
even follow through.
He just, clubbed it real short, and it was like, how do you...
a baby seal.
Yeah, how do you do that? Jesus. So there's so much collusion. He's not signed until June of the 1987 season, which is mid-season.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He's signed by the Indians finally. And this is the piss poor shit Indians.
Yeah.
This is what they made Major League about, because this is the 87. This is when they were filming Major League, because it came out in 89. So this is the team they were fucking making fun of here.
Yeah.
They finished 61-101, this team. On this team, obviously, you're Jake Taylor, Ricky Vaughn. No, Pedro Serrano. No. In real life, it was Joe Carter and Julio Franco. And
no Wesley Snipes?
No Wesley Snipes. No Willie Mays Hayes. Brooke Jacoby.
Was that his name? Derringer.
No. What are you talking about? Dorn.
What's his real name?
Who? Corbin Burnson.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the worst name on earth.
It is bad.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
It's 2 last names.
It's awful shit. Yeah, you don't want that. Corey Snyder. Mel Hall was on that team.
No kidding.
Mel Hall was on that team, which is crazy. Mel Hall on that team.
Great.
Another alumni here. Yeah. Mel Hall on this team. Diddling son of a bitch. And the Indians were last in the American League in attendance that year. So that was what Major League was based on. He only pitches in 25 games this year, 27 innings. So really not pitched a lot. A 5.67 ERA, but I mean, he's barely playing.
Yeah.
His spring training was the regular season in June. He hadn't pitched before that.
One bad game, it ruins everything.
Yeah, and you can't. Spring training, a veteran pitcher's just trying to find the strike zone. They don't care. They're not trying to win.
Right.
And so this guy, he doesn't know how to. You're every year you come in, you get loose, you do it. This guy's got to come in and be game ready immediately. Which is
bananas of why the spring training here has priced everybody out of the market now.
Yeah, it's silly.
So expensive to go to a game.
Yeah, they want to make money off that, too.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they want to make money. That used to be the draw. You'd go to, the A's fucking spring training at the old...
$5.
And you get a good seat for, $8. Right. And that was, the draw.
Buy a hot dog for $3-4.
It was cheap.
Have a nice
Everything
day.
was cheap. And now it's the same price as Major League games.
And you're still seeing the same people you'll never see in the regular season.
Yeah, you're seeing guys who are going to be, in AA or selling insurance.
It's awful.
So he makes $175,000 this year because he only plays half the year, so it's prorated. October 29th, 87, he's released by the Indians. And he says he's not pursuing it anymore. He doesn't want it. He's only 32 years old.
And he's done.
He says because he's pissed off that he didn't get a contract, and rather than try again and stick with it like Andre Dawson did and ended up playing into the early 90s and ended up on Colorado and made some decent money finally, he doesn't do that.
He went to the Rockies?
Later on, the very end, I want to say the last,
depressing.
Like the first year of their team.
They were so bad.
You need a couple of names, and then you'll pay them a few extra bucks. And, it's kind of like why the Diamondbacks had, what's his name? The center fielder, Devon White.
I don't remember.
Was it Devon White? Didn't they have him for a while?
Was he from the Expos?
No, he wasn't. So he walks away from baseball, and later on he'll say it was just a mistake. Without the daily pull of the game, he just kind of fell apart, is what he says. He says, I laid down on the game. I just quit. I shouldn't have done that. It was a big mistake. I wasn't finished.
So much regret.
So much regret, and he's stuck in Boston. Now he has this big house. He says he doesn't have any of his old friends, like his ball player friends, because he's not playing anymore. And so he says at this point, quote, I met the wrong people.
He made new friends.
He says this was the time he smoked crack for the first time.
Hell yeah.
Who doesn't remember their first time smoking crack? You know what I mean? I remember it. Who doesn't?
How do you go
fond
from there to
crack
there?
smoking memories. He says, quote, I think I had a hole in my heart. I missed the game and needed something. I had my kid with cystic fibrosis. I had that big house in Boston where I was out of place. I should have never bought it. I was snorting cocaine and went to a party and saw some people doing something funny. I said, what are they doing? They said, smoking cocaine. I said, won't that bust your heart? They said, no, try it. So I did. I was hooked right away. The high was euphoric, super. It took away the absence of baseball. It made me the big dog again, I guess. It made me the center of attention. It was like a new toy.
Yeah.
He says, I never started smoking cocaine until I was 33 years old, till after I got out of baseball. I couldn't stop once I started. I'd go on a binge for 3 or 4 days or 35 days. I'd go till all the money was gone.
What is that? That's not in. There's
hardcore.
3 or 4 days. Sometimes 35.
Yeah,
that's a whole month, sir.
You know that drive to like play ball and break into schools to play extra and crawl through a fence to play. He has that for everything he does.
Wow.
So now he shifts that focus and that intensity to crack.
Did he say he misses his son with cystic fibrosis?
No, he had his son with cystic fibrosis.
That's where
he had my kid. He said I had my kid with cystic fibrosis.
That's where I'm at right now. You got 35 days. You disappear and do that.
That's
shit.
What I'm saying.
You got a sick son,
and and he's going to blame the son on this. Not blame the son, but blame the condition on his
feelings,
actions. Which he said he found himself doing crack, smoking crack more and more often at this point. Obviously, till all the money was gone. He began dipping into his investments, like taking money out of investments for crack. He said, quote, it wasn't like an everyday thing. I'd do it and I'd get off it. I did it for like 2 days without going to sleep. It was like once you got started, well, if you didn't get started, you were all right. He said it was expensive. He said basically it would be $70 for 45 minutes worth of crack for him.
So, and he did that for 2 days.
He did that for days and weeks on end. That's a lot. That adds up. Yeah, I would say so.
That's $100 an hour.
That's so much. And also at this point, his house is foreclosed on in Boston.
Why did he say it like that? $75 for 45 minutes. Just say $100 an hour, man.
Yeah, no, 75. He said, I paid $70 for this amount and that lasts 45 minutes. Okay. I don't know what the fuck.
$70.
$70.
Sorry.
No. 70.
It's a weird amount.
It is a weird amount. They said he has some deferred salary coming in, but now those checks are now garnished to go toward his house being foreclosed on. So now he's getting not even the money he's supposed to be getting from deferred payments. And eventually, he decides to go back to Asheville, North Carolina, which never go home, as we've talked about before. Here he is. He's breaking all the fucking rules. He's going home.
Throw a Bible in your back pocket,
Not good, man. Yeah, he moves back there. He said, this is around where he grew up, so he was happy. But he and his wife are still doing a bunch of drugs.
Yeah.
And
the wife's involved.
The wife
too.
is involved back then too. Peggy's into they do drugs together. I mean, they're doing drugs together and fighting all the time. And they have a kid with cystic fibrosis, which is enough pressure. Just the pressure of having a kid with cystic fibrosis and a career that's kind of ending and your house being foreclosed on and your whole lifestyle's changing monetarily, just that's enough pressure. If you add crack to that scenario, now make everyone high on crack and see how that all works.
Oh boy.
Whoa, man, that is some serious, that's too much.
Of all the financial struggles alone with the medical bills, and then you're not going to even be alert to deal with that?
No. It's crazy.
Bananas.
At some point here early on in the 87, 88 area, he's arrested for domestic assault, for getting in a fight with his wife. Another time for driving with a revoked license. So has a couple things like that. He says, quote, we'd be doing drugs together and coming down from the high and fighting with each other, becoming irritated about the little things. Wow. Yeah, they're like when they're not high, they're going to fight because they're used to being high. So it's not good, man. No. This is going bad quick, and this is going to be, we're going to slide into a deep reservoir of shit right now. Okay. October 17th, 1988, he's arrested in Chelsea, Massachusetts for felony cocaine and weapons possessions. So he's got a loaded weapon, loaded gun, and cocaine, felonious cocaine possession.
That's terrible.
Not great.
No.
Not a good start here. That's October 17th, 1988. February 9th, 1989, he's convicted of carrying a firearm without a license, and he's sentenced to 2 years probation.
Wow.
So more probation. That's not bad.
Lenient, though.
It's lenient. Well, he doesn't have a long list of record at this point. That'll happen.
Yeah.
Now, 1989, still, that's the beginning of 1989. He ends up going to play in the senior baseball league. This was the Senior Professional Baseball Association. Yeesh. We've talked about this a couple times.
Catfish hunter.
Actually, it was.
Yeah.
It was guys. Yeah, it was guys who were a few years out of the league, couple years out of the league that still wanted to fuck around.
Yeah, guys
basically.
that had a name that people recognize, and you can sell that ticket.
You can sell it. Because you can go after and get autographs for your kids.
They're going to be jacked to still be signing
for a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he plays there in 1989. He plays for the Bradenton Explorers and the St. Petersburg Pelicans. Eesh. So look at that. Each team had 24 players. They were supposed to play 72 games there. They had a 3-year cable arrangement with Prime Network.
That's impressive.
In Florida there. The top salaries they had were about $15,000 a month, and each team has a season salary cap of $550,000.
That's $150,000 a year if you can get the top pay.
That's not bad. That's for your Hall of Famers that draw the money. And the tickets to the one team, the Pelicans, St. Petersburg, ranged from $3 to $550.
It's spring training.
So I mean, you can take your kids to that, and people can take you can take a whole mess of people to that. What do you have? Bring all your friends. Who gives a shit? Let's go.
I got 30 on it.
Get in the fucking station. Get them in the fucking station wagon. We're going to the game.
I got 20 tickets. It cost me $30.
That's not bad. And on this team was Doc Ellis, who was crazy ass, awesome, insane pitcher who pitched on acid all the time, threw a no-hitter on LSD, very famous situation there. And Ron LaFleur, another one of our pals, another one of our buddies there, Ron LaFleur. So I mean, it's just so many streams are crossing with this guy.
Incredible.
Now, the drugs are really taking over here, though, at this point. He's going to have a daughter here pretty soon, but we'll talk about in a second here. She says, it's his daughter, Alicia. She says that she recalled the first time she suspected drugs were in her father's life. She said, quote, we went to Florida because he was going to try to play again. This is when she was little. She was born in 84. Okay. Alicia was. It didn't work out, but we stayed down there, and he would take me and my brother into bad neighborhoods. He was buying drugs. Just seemed so desperate. I remember thinking something is wrong with my dad because that was not the man I knew. When I was younger, he was such a sweet, funny guy. So, he's taking his kids on a crack run.
Unbelievable.
That is, you've gone well beyond.
It's no wonder why he's staying in Florida, though.
Yeah, it's easy going.
Yeah, you find that shit pretty easy.
At what point do you just go, I'll just take the kids with me to go get crack?
And that's plural, by the way, meaning child with cystic fibrosis, backseat.
By the way, Alicia has cystic fibrosis also.
No fucking way.
Both kids have cystic fibrosis.
This poor fuck.
Yeah, so you don't take those kids on a crack run.
No.
Cystic fibrosis or not.
Right.
You don't take young children on any form of a crack run whatsoever, I feel like.
And is he doing that shit in the car with children with fucked up lungs in the backseat?
That's what we don't know. We don't know that.
Unbelievable.
She didn't mention that.
I mean,
he's definitely buying the crack.
There's no secondhand crack rock, can you? Is it? I don't know if that's.
I would assume.
I don't know if you can clam bake a car with crack rocks.
I would assume. I don't know why not.
I don't know.
Why not? It's smoke.
It's the same thing, right?
I guess.
I think you got to fucking really.
I've seen on a documentary crackheads giving each other shotguns after they take a hit. So that's the same thing, I guess. If you blew it right, hopefully he's not blowing it into their mouths, cupping over their mouths. There you go, kid.
The doctor's medicine isn't working. Try this.
This will make your lungs tingle. Yeah. So, July 1st.
This makes me feel like a fucking madman.
Hey,
maybe it'll help you.
So, July 1st, 1989, it's over for him in the senior league there. He ends up he's in the Asheville Mall, and he ends up being charged with 4 counts of misdemeanor larceny. He's connected with the theft of $350 worth of items. He's arrested. They stand him up
what
straight.
Turned him on?
He's arrested at 5:15 p.m. and taken to the county jail, released after posting $500 bond, which I don't know where he got that, but he's accused of stealing 1 pair of shorts, 2 pairs of pants, a shirt, a tool set, a lady's shirt. I got to pick up something nice for the wife.
Give the wife a gift.
1 pair of ladies' pants, 2 boys' shirts, all from Sears, for $228.81 worth of items.
God, Jesus, man.
3 bags of rabbit pellets from Pet Love.
He's got a fucking
He's got rabbits to feed, $3.87. 3 shirts, 2 ties, 1 belt, and a shirt from Upton's with a total of $103.98. So he's buying shirts and ties. Is he going on job interviews?
Yeah.
I need to feed the rabbits, get my wife a pair of pants, and go on this job interview tomorrow.
I mean, he's stealing it, though, right?
Yeah. This is all stolen. Okay. And a pair of isotoner slippers valued at $20.
Gotta baby those feet.
That's, He was arrested in Sears, which
all
is
this
just sad.
stealing got my dogs barking.
Yeah. He's arrested in Sears, which he has gotten the last laugh now, but still.
Isotoners, though.
Yeah, isotoners. Jesus.
Most old man slipper on earth. That's amazing.
That or a Dan Marino glove from the 80s. The security guard said Stewart was carrying the bags of merchandise from store to store. So just carrying around a bag, like adding more shit to the bag, basically. Yeah. He had no receipts in the bags when they asked for his receipts for his items, and he offered no resistance when they arrested him. And then they contacted the other.
You got me.
Yeah, you got me. The other stores, and they said they want. I guess you got me.
I've been stealing like crazy, officer.
Jesus. Each count of larceny is punishable by a maximum sentence of 2 years imprisonment, a fine, or both. So who knows? He ends up pleading guilty to this and is sentenced to 50 hours of community service.
Wow.
So that's not bad.
That's pretty nice.
Got off pretty easy on that one.
$400 worth of shit from several stores.
Now it's going to get...
He went on a shoplifting spree.
He said he had a list of shit. He's like, I'll just shoplift all this stuff.
Fuck it.
That I
forgot my wallet.
What are you going to do?
I'm out. I got to get
I'll mail you a check. It's the 80s. You can mail a check still.
Yeah.
December 5th, 1989. This is when it gets crazy here. He's arrested in Bradenton, Florida, and charged with misdemeanor spousal battery. Here, this is when him and his wife get in a fight.
Again.
Yeah, and it gets a little physical here. Yeah. This is when it escalates. And crack is going to really...
Oh, sure.
I mean, anytime...
It's going to fuel this one.
Everybody's smoking crack. It's not great. Now, that's December 5th. December 14th, he's arrested again. This time, this is all felony shit here. He's charged with 3 counts of false imprisonment and 1 count each of spousal battery, also resisting arrest with violence and resisting arrest without violence.
3 counts? Is that 1 on each member of the family?
No. It's 3 counts of false imprisonment. I don't know why. Yeah, because I guess she couldn't leave with the kids. And 1 count spousal battery, 1 count resisting with violence, 1 count resisting without violence.
This is terrible stuff.
Yeah, I would say so. What ended up happening was after this whole thing happened, he was in jail, and this was right before Christmas, December 14th. Yeah. He's in jail because he couldn't make bail. And one of the court people here says, quote, Mrs. Stewart went into court and asked the judge to lower his bond so they could go home to North Carolina for Christmas. Yeah. The court takes these charges pretty seriously, but when the wife comes in saying all is forgiven, the judge tends to give the benefit of the doubt.
Unbelievable.
Because this is 1989.
And they don't know that
wasn't
shit's
a big
cyclical.
deal. Yeah, they haven't figured that out yet.
Holy Christ.
So her plea convinced the judge to lower his $15,000 bond to $2,500, to which his father paid $250 cash with his good arm.
Done.
Handed it over. It's pinned right up on my sleeve. Just go ahead and grab it. Go ahead and unpin it and then pin it back together.
Was a surprise.
Don't just leave me a dangling. I said, come on, never mind. I'll fold it up myself. Screwed up my arm.
Good arm.
With his good arm, he handed it over. And that was that. So he's released.
I was dead serious, straight face. Dad paid it. Bang, good arm.
Good arm. Take that. Left hook with the good arm.
Unbelievable.
Have one of those. So
his dad's a hero, James.
He's a fucking hero. There you go. So he's released for Christmas.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah. He's got shoplifting to do.
Yeah, he's got a lot of shoplifting.
Go get some Christmas gifts.
So all's quiet over Christmas. Maybe that's what he was stealing. Yeah,
that was probably
back,
Christmas.
Who knows? July, so who knows?
He was there for 6 fucking months.
Well, that was in Asheville because he went back and forth.
Gotcha.
So anyway, in December, all's quiet over Christmas, and then December 28th comes along.
Yeah,
and apparently there was quite the night. December 28th.
Yeah,
because December 29th, Peggy shows up at the sheriff's department, looking like she's been run through the mill, beaten and battered, saying that Sammy had severely beaten her and held her against her will the previous night. Held her there. The sheriff said, quote, "I saw her and somebody had brutally beaten her. She said it was her husband." So he's like, that she got hit. There's no fucking doubt that
something happened.
Something happened to her fucking face. Let's just put it that way.
And run through a textile mill or
which
she's got all her limbs.
You didn't get a job at a blanket factory, did you? Just checking now. So he's arrested for second-degree kidnapping, threatening of a public official, and all this other shit here. He is scheduled for later on. The police, they said they had been fighting for several hours when he finally punched her in the jaw. Not finally, like he was going, but that's what happened. They were fighting for several hours. Eventually, he punches her in the jaw. Another couple who was sharing the home with them. This happened in front of another couple. That when you see a couple fighting hard in front of other people, they have lost all.
It doesn't matter.
Imagine what happens behind closed doors. Good Lord.
That's him showing restraint.
Yeah, that's
punching
what I'm saying.
her in the jaw.
Jesus. This other couple tried to intervene, obviously, like, hey, let's calm down. Hey, let's everyone have a beer. Let's smoke some crack.
I'll punch your wife, Jerry. See what I do to my own wife? How dare you? You better shut your fucking mouth.
I don't even like your fucking wife. First of all, she takes care of my cystic fibrosis riddled kids, and I do this to her. Imagine when I do it to your pain in the ass wife with her shitty fucking macaroni salad. Yeah, I had her fucking macaroni salad at the barbecue, Jerry. It fucking sucks. Too much mayonnaise. Too much.
Why is there pickles in it,
For
Jerry?
For fuck's sake. Relish, really? We don't need all this shit. How many onions do you put in that? You fucking, I'm going to punch her anyway. Jerry, get the fuck out of the way. I'm knocking her out, Jerry. I've had it.
Jerry.
Jesus Christ. Apparently, Stewart, then Sammy threatened the couple, just like we said. He said, fuck, I'll kick your asses too. So apparently she had to say she was going out to run an errand to get out of the house. She had to act like everything was cool and say, I'm just going to go run an errand, and then went to the police station. Was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ.
The errand is having him arrested.
So police later arrest him. He resists the officers by running out of the back door when they come to arrest him and attempting to jump a fence.
Because he knows what's coming next.
So this is a low point. When cops are dragging you off a fence you're trying to jump, you've gone a long way from
World Series champion.
Yeah, it's a long. You look down at that ring and just feel real bad about yourself. You really should.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's fucking ridiculous. So January 11th, 1990, he gets continuance on this whole thing. The kidnapping charge is continued. As part of the continuance, he'll have until January 25th to officially move out of the home as part of the restraining order. January 25th, he's there. He hasn't moved out yet, but they're trying to get his bond withdrawn, but the judge refuses to withdraw his bond if he gets alcohol treatment, because I guess he's going to alcohol treatment. He said, I'm not going to withdraw his bond while he's going to alcohol treatment, and also, but you have until 8 p.m. to move all your shit out of the house, or else you're just out.
Something tells me that judge doesn't know about the crack.
I don't think he knows quite about the crack. The alcohol is really B-side right now. It's really not a concern as much as...
It's really a side effect, sir.
Yeah. I guess he had moved out, and Peggy said he moved back in, so the judge is like, you can't do that. You got till 8.
I did move out.
to leave. And the weird thing is, at court that day, they sat together before the whole thing started. And then when their case came up, they had to take positions at the opposite tables. Okay, honey. Okay, I'll see you after this is done.
See you in a sec.
He hit me. She's a fucking bitch. Like, what? Okay, let's go out for lunch now. So called to the witness stand here. Poor Peggy here. God, this poor woman. She's getting beat up. Her kids have cystic fibrosis. Her husband's a fucking crackhead. This is a tough spot to be in here. You were married to a baseball player and everything was going well, and now you didn't expect this.
No.
Probably.
And he likely introduced her to the drugs that she's now addicted to.
He was the one who went out and brought it into the house. Yeah, he was out partying, not her. So she relates the evening. She said that he hit her. He's hit her several times before. This isn't like a new thing. She said that he drank several rum and cokes that night, and then she had a few also. He began blaming her for an earlier fight, the one that he was arrested for in Florida. Yeah. So they started arguing about the Florida charges, and it's like, that's going to happen again. Dummy.
Fuck.
She said she tried to leave the house 3 times, but each time he physically dragged her back inside. Yeah. And she said that she said, quote, he said I wasn't going anywhere. So that is frightening as shit, I would say. Now she's cross-examined. She said she probably could have snuck out of the house, but that she would, because he said, this is the cross-examination. First of all, this is a bad cross-examination. He literally said, so you claim you couldn't get out of the house? You couldn't have snuck out of the house? Blaming her because she couldn't sneak out of the house.
Wow.
You really didn't want to get punched? How hard were you trying not to get punched? Let's talk about that. That's what I'm saying.
Good God.
This is fucking 1991.
Wow.
This is crazy.
Couldn't you have run? What?
Yeah.
How about he tell him not to hit me?
Yeah, he shouldn't have hit. Why should I have to run from my home in fear? What the fuck? So she on the stand had to say she probably could have snuck out of the house, but she was afraid that Sammy would have heard her and caught her and then, beat her even worse for trying to sneak out. So,
when he punched me the first time, it fucking hurt.
You know how abuse works.
Didn't want to
scare people and then that's how abuse works. Jesus. She said that he caught her at one point and hit her head repeatedly into a couch and threw several drinks into her face that night.
Lined up.
Just like every time he was mad, he just throw a drink at her.
Now I got to make another one.
She said she escaped. This one was another one with the errand thing. She said, hey, another, those errands, they pile up. And he's too drunk to remember last time. So she ran next door and called the sheriff's department. Like I said, this came from an earlier argument about the earlier beating.
The two of them. They are volatile together,
They're
too.
Very volatile.
She doesn't understand that.
They do drugs together. Yeah. That's a bad couple right away.
You don't want to be those people.
Couples can't do hard drugs together. No one should be doing hard drugs, but if anyone should, it can only be one person. The other one's got to try to keep it together and be the codependent one. That's the only way that's going to work.
Keep that separated.
Yeah, drug addicts need to, not going to work. So he pleads not guilty to this whole thing, and he's trying to get bail here, and he does get bail out of this. And Jesus Christ, she said on the when he was they were talking about Florida, when he was bailed out in Florida, on the way home, on the ride in the car back to North Carolina from Florida for Christmas, Sammy hit her and started drinking in the car.
Good Lord.
So literally in the car on the way home from court, he was punching her again.
His wrist still hurt.
Yeah, and then this night he was blaming her for that, and then he was blaming her for the whole December 14th incident. He threw a TV remote control at her. That's how the whole thing started, and then they started to argue and blah 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 blah, and then it obviously got a little bit out of control.
I can see how it can happen.
A lot of bit out of control. So September 1990, he completes 60 days in drug and alcohol rehab.
That's great,
and he does this a few times, and so that's September 1990. November 1990, arrested for felony cocaine possession. Didn't quite stick.
Didn't work.
We'll just say that here. He's arrested early in the morning, a felony cocaine possession. He's arrested around 2:30 a.m. by a deputy who were responding to a report of a disturbance at his home, which is never good.
Yeah.
Then they show up and, hey, guess who's got a bunch of cocaine? So... Not terrific.
And high as shit.
And his address was at 107 Scenic View Mobile Home Park in Swannanoan.
Oh, no.
So 5 years ago, he was pitching in the World Series, or at least on a team sitting on a World Series bench, and now he's living at the Scenic View Mobile Home Park in Swannanoan, North Carolina.
I almost guarantee there is no scenic view.
There isn't a view of shit.
No.
There's there's a view of like an old tire fucking pile. This is where we put our old tires.
Neighbor's holiday rambler.
And some woods. That's about it. So they found him with some cocaine, and he's released on a $5,000 bond there. So, March 4th, 1991, his son Colin dies at age 11. That is brutal.
He's so young.
11.
Not just the kid. Dad's
parents,
young.
Everybody's young.
Everybody's so young.
Crazy.
Tragedy.
11.
And he's got another one, and all he's thinking is how long she's going to last.
Unthinkable. This whole thing's unthinkable here. And it's brutal, man. He says, quote, "They had told us he had 6 months to live, and they were right. He died in my arms. He was in 5th grade, real smart, and he looked up and said, 'Daddy, what's 9 and 4?' He knew the answer to that. He just wasn't getting oxygen to his brain. It hurt me all these years thinking about it. I cry a lot, but I don't blame any of my drug addiction on that." But he does later on. Now, Peggy, she says she battled alcohol really bad. She said that she, was glad to hear later on that he wasn't relying on Colin's death as an excuse. She says, quote, "It was awful and still is, but I got myself back together. There's no reason why he couldn't too." Which, I mean, people have this happen and they don't just smoke crack for 100 years. Like, that's...
But there's also people that don't smoke crack for 100 years after this happens, and it's because they can't fucking do a goddamn thing.
They can't do anything. Yeah, everybody's reaction is different to this sort of thing.
Some of this is so crippling, it ruins your entire everything.
If he never smoked crack at all until this happened, and then he went into a binge, I go, wow, I see that. But the fact that he was smoking crack
with him in the car,
taking him to get crack in the car, it's like a little less. I feel bad for everybody, and I feel terrible for him, obviously. But Jesus Christ, at this point is kind of when it gets real low. At one point here, he pawns his World Series ring, which is always the lowest of the low when you pawn your World Series ring, and his dad's gun collection, which was a very important thing.
Of course.
It was like a family heirloom type thing.
People in the South, the gun collection is everything.
That was a big deal. They like to hunt together. That was a thing. And, at one point, from time to time, he's homeless. He says he's sleeping outside or on shitty couches in like flop houses and, crack houses.
Where's the daughter and the ex?
We'll talk about it here. He says that he was stabbed within 2 inches of his spinal cord at one point. There's a couple more stories that are bonkers. Let's do it in their own words, because I'd love to hear what the hell he's thinking at this point. I just think we need to find out here. In their own words, quote, "The lowest moment was just to know that you're completely alone on a dark highway. You're the only one up at 2:30 in the morning. You're walking and the pit of your stomach is just bored out with a hole in it, something that you just can't fill up. The thing about any kind of dope is that there is too many and 1,000 isn't enough. There's never enough for you." Which is just a mess.
That should never be a sentence you ever say, sir.
No, it's...
you made almost $2 million and won the World Series. Yeah.
In his career.
Yeah.
And then
what
gone.
The fuck?
And in the 80s, too. I mean, Jesus, that's not bad.
God, Jesus.
So that is in March of 1991. Everything is going terrible. May 29th, 1991, there's a fluff piece. He's good now.
He's sleeping on the side of the highway.
Oh, no, he's fine.
Okay.
Nope. Jimmy, according to this article, everything is fine now. This was a month ago. He's a complete disaster. Now it says that he's decided that it all has to end. This is his son. He's thinking about his son. He says he remembers the last day. He says July 14th, he said he'd been out on another 2-day binge, and he asked his father to go get him some breakfast from Hardee's. His father got the food and then sat down and talked to him. He says that he felt a lot of shame while his dad talked to him. He said, quote, "The house reeked of odors. All our clothes were dirty, and there was drug paraphernalia all over. And my dad was telling me it was no way for a man to live. I finally saw he was right." So he talks about...
What?
Listen to this. So he says
my one-armed father told me this is no way to live.
This is not how you live.
Dad.
You know what? I shouldn't smoke a bunch of crack. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking.
This Hardee's sure is delicious.
The Hardee's really put it clear through my mind here. He says, I finally saw that he was right, and he says he checked himself in a drug recovery unit. He was only there for 42 days of 60 for a reason, and we'll talk about that, but he's pretending like it's fine here, and so's the paper. He says that's the month he learned that Colin had 6 months to live, so he dropped his baseball comeback he was attempting, and to be with his son. And he was trying for a baseball comeback. He said his arm was sound. He threw, he said right now he's throwing around 86 miles an hour, which wasn't bad.
Punches at his wife.
Punching, he's got a lot of muscle from punching. The Cleveland Indians president Hank Peters said, "quote It's doubtful that he could after make a comeback after being away for a couple of years. I don't think we'd be interested. It's doubtful a player could come back when he's been removed from that level of competition for so long." He says, on the other hand, Stewart says, "quote I know the talent that I have, and I know now. I know what I have to do to make this talent happen is to be full 100% shape." He said, "I wasn't ready then. I wasn't in shape before when he pitched in the senior leagues there because he had injuries."
Peggy squatting behind the mound. He's throwing like Magnavox remotes to her.
Yeah, there you go.
Look how fast it is, Coach.
Coming in hot. He says here, quote, "Crack was hard for me to get to let go of, but it was time to clean myself up. I'll be recovering for the rest of my life. But the important thing is, I'm good now."
Did he really say that?
He doesn't, but he says, quote, "I've been to rehab 4 times. Rehab isn't going to help me. I'd pretend to go out jogging and buy cocaine on the sly at rehab. One time they kicked me out after 2 weeks because they said no one had ever had more cocaine in their system while he was there for 2 weeks. So they're like, I don't think you're doing this right." He said, "I've quit for as long as 18 months. I can do it, but you have to keep wanting to do it."
They're testing him, and his levels are like going up. He's like, "This is amazing. Your body just makes coke, sir."
Produces coke. Are you Colombian, sir? By any chance?
This is bananas.
June 5th, 1991. So Fluff Piece, keep in mind, Fluff Piece, May 29th, 1991. He's great. Everything's fine. Baseball comeback, clean as a whistle. The world is his oyster. June 5th. A week later, he's arrested and charged with misdemeanor larceny for stealing from a Kmart.
Wow.
In Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Unbelievable.
That's rock bottom.
It really is.
He's accused of stealing a men's wristwatch valued at $34.97.
Gross.
So, I mean... and he doesn't show back up for court.
No?
For that either. So
I'm not going
He's not good now at all.
I don't want a judge to see me.
No. On June 10th, 1991, he's indicted for his November arrest from before, for the cocaine arrest in November. He tells the judge, quote, I was an embarrassment to my family, and I know I disappointed them, but that's all behind me now. I want to handle myself in a first-class manner. I'm good now. First class all the way, baby.
Until you find out about me stealing from Kmart.
All the way. Yeah, I love that. He says that at a court appearance after he stole a wristwatch from Kmart for $35.
First class, James.
God, Jesus. Class. First class. Fuck, man. Steal from a better store.
You're stealing from Kmart.
So June 15th, 1991, he fails to appear in court, which is a problem. There's an arrest warrant issued for him after he fails to appear in court for stealing $34.97 watch. So now they're hunting him in the streets for stealing a $35 Kmart watch. And it's at this point, too, by the way, over this summer, he worked as an assistant baseball coach at the University of North Carolina, Asheville.
What?
So this was like, people were asking him to be like looked up to. June 29th, though, 2 weeks later, he's let go from coaching at UNC Asheville. And he's a volunteer, by the way. He's not even getting paid.
Not even a job.
They're like, you just can't come back here anymore.
Don't be on this campus.
You're not fucking welcome. He was arrested again. That's why on June 29th, when his next series of arrests, he gets let go. He has a bunch of court dates. He's arrested for driving without a license and for failure to stop at a red light. He's also got an assault on a female charge that's happening from around there. The athletic director of UNC Asheville said, quote, "With the problems Sammy has had recently, we decided that it would be in the best interest of the baseball program, the athletic department, and the university if we severed our ties with Sammy. We appreciate his hard work this past spring as he was a tremendous help to our baseball program. He's really helped our kids and was one of the reasons we advanced to the league championship game, but we can't have a crack-smoking wife puncher around the kids."
Heck of a nice guy to us. Really treats his wife like shit.
You know how that goes. Ends up being sent to jail for 7 months here for all this stuff. Now, his an old Orioles teammate, pitcher Mike Flanagan, wrote a letter to the judge to try to keep him out of jail.
Really?
He said, quote, "I guess I wrote it because I remembered back when, all the hope and promise that he had. He's had a terrible journey," which, I mean, you could definitely get a sob going for this guy. He can make you feel bad for him. He talks about his kid just died and all that kind of shit. He says, boy, he was abundantly talented. He could do just about anything. He could pitch every day, pitch long, pitch short. He was talented in other ways too. He could amuse the whole team with comedy routines we had. There were so many avenues that he could have gone into after baseball. Certainly broadcasting, that kind of thing. Great storyteller. That's what we all remember. He came back for an old timers game and said he just got out of jail, but it was still that Sammy that we knew in the clubhouse. But obviously there was that whole other side. When Colin died, he was broke, and I steered him to BAT, which is baseball assistance team. There probably wasn't a guy around that he wasn't into for some money. There was always a great story of why he needed the money. He seemed sincere, but you never knew, but you knew you were never going to see it again.
Yeah.
So he was going around to these other people, to ex-teammates, and just borrowing money from people. 1992, he's sent to jail for 5 months for driving without with a revoked license. And now we're going to go through a list of you can't even do it date by date. There's just so many. So we're just going to, here's a list of his arrests over the next few years. Okay. We'll start just speeding, 91 and a 55. Speeding, criminal issuance of a bad check, resisting or obstructing a peace officer, theft of $500 value plus, assault of a female, intoxicated and disruptive public behavior, SC for $55. I don't know what that is.
I'm not a fucking criminal guy.
Something. Stole some shit. Stole crap, $55. Assault on a female, second-degree trespassing without a license, driving license revoked while he's driving. These are a part. There's so many more. That's just a part. But we have to take a break to tell you some shit that happens in his life.
Guy.
Oh, he gets arrested so often, man.
What is he doing?
It's a mess. 1994, Peggy finally leaves him.
Wow, that took a while.
She hung in there for a long time.
That's a good woman.
My
God, is she a nice woman?
She's tough anyway.
Yeah.
He ends up ending up in Asheville, North Carolina. He said that he never even thought about dying. He only thought about how he'd scrounge up money for his next hit of crack when he woke up. He said that, he's just arrested all the time. He broke promises to his kids and his wife and everything. Everything. His sister said, the one we talked about earlier, that talked about his blue eyes. Yeah. She said, quote, "He lost himself. It was just a drug walking around, as far as I'm concerned." He got a job at a factory at one point, but he lost his job, like he always did.
At least he didn't lose an arm.
That's true. I was going to say his legs are intact. He says, quote, "It would always come down to, you're a felon. The field at my high school was Sammy Stewart Field, but then a new principal came in and took the sign down. No more Sammy Stewart Field." How many times have we seen our guys? That's another thing we have to find. That's another crime in sports, the
layer,
the milestone to have your name removed from your high school field. That's when you know you've gone bad.
Burner.
Jesus Christ.
It's like a scene in the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The story of his life, watching that sign go up, watching that sign come down.
It's bad stuff. His only steady income's been his pension of $3,600 a month from baseball, but he only receives $1,400 after taxes and child support.
Yeah.
So that's what he's living on. He burned all his bridges with his major league pals. He said he started living under bridges, actually. In Asheville. He said, quote, "I would panhandle. I was one of the best at it. I'd tell him I was traveling from Murphy to Columbia, South Carolina, and my brakes went out, that I helped a lot of people, and I believe it comes back to you. Can you spare a little gas money? Sometimes I get a couple $100 a day, and it would go right to the pipe."
How would
he tell them, "Hey, I'm a good guy. I help a lot of people, and I could really use some help right now. If you help me out, maybe it'll come back to you. Hopefully it's coming back to me now.
Can I have some gas money?" Fuck no, dude. That car's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, he's asking for brake money.
Okay.
That's what he's doing here. My brakes went out. Can you help me I'm trying to collect money to fix my brakes so I can keep going.
That's crazy.
And I'm sure he brought up cystic fibrosis and all that shit because he knows that.
Yeah.
People, oh, Jesus, here's $20.
Yeah.
Now, Alicia, his daughter, says that he used her illness to con people out of money that she never even saw. She said one time, quote, I was at a gas station and this guy stared me down, was looking right through me, and then he walked up to me and said, quote, your dad told me you died. So this guy's angry at her for being alive. How fucking dare you be alive, you fucking bitch. Die.
Oh, that hurts.
Jesus Christ. So that's what he's doing, though. He's telling people, my kid just died. Could you spare, we're trying to bury my daughter. Can you spare something? And they would give him money.
Your money helped, sir. I'm alive. I'm doing great.
See, I'm doing great.
Thank you for donating.
Wow. But it's at this point in 94 that the MLB collusion lawsuit comes in, and he is awarded $332,000 in damages. That's so much crack. He was seeking $1.4 million, but he got a third, whatever. So that's not bad. And that, I think a chunk of that goes to Peggy. She gets part of that as like a child support thing, and then the rest of it goes to all these charges that we're going to talk about. So much crack because he has no money immediately. This does not last him.
No way.
This is gone.
10 minutes. It's over.
Gone. Gone. Let's see here. Let's go back into this. Drug paraphernalia and possession of drugs. DWI level 2 in Massachusetts. Habitual felon arrest. Possession of a Schedule 2 drug. Speeding. Writing a worthless check. Felony breaking and entering. Larceny over $200. Assault on a female. DWI level 1. DWI, the drug one. The, what's it called? Ability impaired. DWI level 4, possession of a Schedule 2 drug, 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 possession of a Schedule 2 drug.
Oh my God.
Assault on female, fish and game violation.
He was fishing?
He was feeding crack to the fish. Maybe if I use crack as bait, the fish will come. That's how it works. It works on me.
He was fishing out of the canal to eat.
Probably. Probably. Who knows? Or he was sleeping somewhere where in a park area, something like that.
Pissing in public.
Some sort of illegal contraband weaponry that's not real specific. Controlled substance, Schedule 2. Controlled substance by a person not registered. I think that's probably a prescription drug that he doesn't have a prescription for. Possession of drug paraphernalia. Possession of drugs by a person not registered. Drug paraphernalia. Aggravated assault. Conspiracy to commit robbery and threaten immediate serious injury, recklessly endangering another person, robbery, threatening serious bodily injury. Take a break for a second.
He's a gangster rapper.
Worse.
He is impressive.
Oh, if Tupac had this record, his fucking albums would have been even bigger.
Nobody would fuck with him.
December 22nd, 1995, his mom dies there. So his mom's died
of shame.
Yeah, she died of a legless, shameful death. Back to the arrest. Terroristic threats with intent to terrorize another. Theft by unlawful taking of movable property. I think it's a car. A shitty car. Speeding, 87 and a 65. Speeding, 74 and a 55. Drunk in public. Failure to pay fines and fees. Drunk in public. Failure to pay fines and fees. Drunk in public. Speeding is a 72 and a 55. Speeding, 65 and a 55. Disregarding red light. Drunk in public. Possession of cocaine. Trespassing. Drunk in public. Possession of drug paraphernalia. Failure to appear. Failure to have registration for a car. Speeding, 34 and a 25. Bad check. Expired registration.
It's every day.
It's every day.
How does he do this?
He is arrested from 1988 to 2006. He's arrested 46 times for more than 60 offenses.
How do you do that?
That's I don't even know what to say about that. That puts Vernon Maxwell to shame.
I don't think I've seen 46 cops in my life.
Insane. Imagine being taken to jail in handcuffs that many times.
And I watch Live PD.
How many times has another grown man looked at his asshole through a flashlight?
Honestly.
How many times is enough for you? And during this time, he's sent to prison 6 times for a total of 25 months over this period of time.
Incredible.
And that's not even his main deal here. We'll talk about that.
What the shit?
96, he serves 2 months in jail on a drug charge. 97, he serves 2 months in jail on a drug charge. He says, well, let's hear what he says about it. Quote, I never really wanted to stop, I guess. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
It's pathetic when you go to a rehab and you've got the most cocaine in your system that they've ever seen. Everybody's talking about turning their lives around, and I'm out there pretending I'm jogging and getting cocaine delivered. 14 days later, I'm kicked out with a suitcase in my hand, walking down the road wondering, where am I going to go? I wound up sleeping under the bridges and passing a 40-ounce bottle of beer around with people who just got off the bus.
Gross.
What a fucking gross life.
Passing a bottle of beer. Ugh.
With other bridge
like
dwelling dirtbags.
You pass around a 40 with 3-4 people, you're not even getting shit. You're not getting buzzed.
Better have a lot of 40s, and then you can all just get your own. What the fuck? Now, Peggy at this point, who we separated from, at this point she said she's working 2 jobs, stone sober, hasn't had a drink or anything in years, dealing with her own substance abuse issues from the past and his. She said at this point, quote, I look at his picture and I don't even know who he is. He was once so funny and so giving and so athletic. In high school, he hated drugs. He'd say, why are they smoking marijuana? Why are they doing that to their bodies? So, crack is worse, buddy.
Yeah.
So Peggy said also about these. They said, "Well, is it because the death of your son? Is that why he turned to drugs?" And she said, "That's an excuse, not a reason." Oh yes, he's a con artist. Oh goodness, his career should have been as a con artist. He can con me out of anything.
No doubt.
So he's getting out of this shit, out of these jails, and he is just literally wandering the streets.
Yeah.
Going to fucking bridges.
I thought a life of crime was like a thing that you did in the 30s and 40s.
It's
like you
crazy.
Can't live that today.
Oh, he did.
And this guy's doing it.
He lived a life of crime, and he's out there and fucking just out in the goddamn streets.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's doing shady shit to get drugs.
Sure.
That's what he's doing. He's fucking robbing people. He's looking in windows. He's trying to find stuff like that. And there's this one house. He looks in the window, and as he's looking in the window, all of a sudden the door opens and shocks the shit out of him. And he thinks he thinks he could just run this person over easy and take everything she has. But then he realizes that it's not going to happen because it's my grandma. And she says, Ma, how is it you come to arrive here? Ma, what are you doing? Ma, I ask you, you have the nice wife. Yeah, she smoked the crack with you. That's nice. She's a nice woman. And you be mean. You punch in face. Your son die. You take them for crack. By the way, to your hair all over, get a nice man haircut. Maybe trim up real nice. I have idea too, because, you don't play the baseball or whatever you do anymore. Maybe you get a job at the jail. That's a good thing. You're there anyway. You know all the people. You go in, you say,
anyway.
Maybe instead I get paid. I do some things while I'm here. And then maybe also you get out, these guys. Maybe they don't arrest you then because they know you. I'm just saying. I don't know. But you're terrible, and I am very disgusted with you. I have to go. Poof. And a poof of marinara sauce. She is definitely gone. Sammy's very confused. He only understood every other word, and he's not too...
She's a very nice woman.
Very nice woman. She did have her knife out the whole time, so he was... By the way, the knife that my grandmother threatened people with, when you ask her, why'd you have a knife, she goes, for my apples. So she could slice apples up and threaten people's nutsacks.
Somebody did that in a movie. Oh, never mind. It's not. Never mind. Forget
She's crazy.
I was thinking of Dennis the Menace. When the guy from Back to the Future. What's his
Doc?
Yeah.
Like Biff.
What's his real name?
Doc? Christopher Lloyd?
God damn it, Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
In Dennis the Menace, he jammed it. Whatever. He ate an apple with a knife.
Yeah. It's a menacing move. Yeah. So, especially for a little old lady.
I just saw that as your grandma's eating an apple with a knife.
And threaten you. 1998, his father dies. So, it took a lot to take him down, but he's finally down. Also, same year, serves 4 months on a drug charge. So, everything's going well. He said, quote, everything I have has been pawned for it. Crack he's talking about. All my stuff is gone, all my material things. I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a house. I don't have clothes or memorabilia. I have nothing. They even said that he used to have 4,000 LPs, 4,000 record albums. He used to be a big record album collector.
He'd be rolling in it.
He said, they're all gone. All gone.
All in hipster pawn shops today.
He said, quote, I've slept under bridges, on park benches, out in the woods. I've been homeless, friendless, shot at. I've been hit with hammers. I've been stabbed in the back over $55. I've run over people with my car.
I don't think the cops knew that.
I've robbed people myself. As far as running off with dope, grabbing it out of their hands, I've had every fight there is to have. He's a mess.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
That's a hell of a story.
Yeah, so that's wild, though. He told, like we said, he told people his daughter was dead. His ex-wife here, Peggy, says, he isn't the person I knew in high school, the person I fell in love with. He's a con artist. And he says that's true. He says, quote, I take full responsibility for everything. There was times when I was just pathetic. Yeah. 1999, he has a son. With another woman, not with Peggy.
How is he fucking?
A kid named Brian, he has. 2000, another son.
No!
Let's have more kids while you're in jail and smoking crack. Ryan and Christian, these two are. What the fuck is he doing?
Do they have cystic fibrosis too?
No, they don't. They're with another woman. Okay. So apparently whatever cocktail he makes with Peggy makes cystic fibrosis, apparently. Jesus. But with the other one, it's not. So... he by 2003 he said that his relationship with Peggy and his daughter have completely kind of deteriorated. Alicia lives on disability because she's sick. They've all grown kind of weary of them. Alicia said, quote, he'd come up to my friends and panhandle them.
Oh my God.
Imagine that.
That's the worst.
He finally moved back in with us in 2003 because he had nowhere to go. He'd start drinking and his foot would start shaking and you could just see him itching for drugs. He needs more than alcohol to give him a high. So he'd finally leave and we wouldn't see him for a few days and he'd come back all scraggly and dirty in the same clothes. Which is just fucking horrible. He says about his wife and daughter, quote, they're bitter at me because of some of the things I've done. Well, no shit.
All of the things you've done.
Yeah, not being there for them, I guess. But I will say, wow. You think?
Stuff
like that.
How do you minimize?
I guess. I don't know. Shit like that, I guess. If you're going to be picky about the whole thing. I mean, if you're going to be a real picky-oon about it, then fine.
Unbelievable.
He says, but I will say, Peggy and Alicia, they're wonderful together. They're best friends now because they've been through so much together. That's one good thing that came out of all this. Trauma bonding. Great.
They're Ariel Castro's victims. This is beautiful.
In 2004, Alicia received a double lung transplant.
Wow.
So she could have very easily died.
Yeah.
Instead received a double lung transplant. And she says about this afterwards, quote, I saw him on the street. He was homeless. I said, let me do something. He said, I can take care of myself. But then he called the next day and said, how about giving me that $30 you promised? She says, well, I never promised any amount. When I saw him, I gave him $20 and he got mad. He went around to the other side of the car and asked my mom for some. She gave him $3.
Unbelievable.
So he
just panhandled his family for $23.
Yeah, he panhandled his family for $23.
That is vile as shit, man.
She says, I don't look at him as a dad like everybody else is. He's not even really in my life. I don't talk to him regularly. And at the end of the conversation, I don't feel like saying, I love you. I do love him and I care about him, but our outlooks are so different. You know, I'm trying to not die. He's trying to smoke crack and sleep under bridges. We have very different interests.
She's so selfish with all those lungs. All I want is $30.
All he wants, all this oxygen this fucking broad needs. Jesus Christ.
Unbelievable.
All right with your oxygen. Calm the fuck down. Shit, she says the way he lives, it doesn't look like it looks like he doesn't care if he lives or dies. I want to live life to the fullest. I wish he would say, my daughter has fought so hard. Why can't I straighten myself up and help her enjoy her wonderful life? He says that he does think that. He says, quote, there's a lot of times when I've thought about death, not killing myself, but that I was killing myself. Here I've got a daughter trying everything she can to live, and here I am killing myself with drugs. But I want to live because as long as I can, improvement is possible. Someone asked me if I thought I had thrown my life away. No way. I'm still here. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to pick someone up in prison when they're down. I'm going to try to work towards something. 2004, he serves a 5-month sentence on a drunk charge. So, yeah.
You got your opportunity to pick somebody up.
And that's what I mean. April 1st, 2005, he files Chapter 13 bankruptcy in Gastonia, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. November 2005, Alicia had a surgery, and she was driving home from the surgery with her mother when she saw her dad walking down the road. Jesus. She said, quote, he looked so awful, grass and dirt all over him. His face was yellowy and all wrinkled. His hair looked like Bozo the Clown, and he smelled like he'd been living in a ditch. That's a bad description.
So they stopped, obviously.
They stopped, yeah.
Because you can't just drive by. Unless he smells so bad you can get it through the vents.
She said it was really bad. I was scared to hug him. I offered to get him some food, and he said no, no, no. He offered me a smoke. He said, now that you got new lungs, you can have a cigarette.
What the fuck is he doing?
I don't know what I don't know if it's his attempt at humor. Or what?
I hope so, because that's a dipshit thing to do.
So she smokes a pack and a half a day now, actually. It's pretty interesting. No, she obviously didn't have any. Yeah, she obviously said, no, that's all right. I have 2 transplanted lungs. I'm good here.
Here's somebody else's, so no.
She says, Alicia, I love him and I always will, but I'm tired of people saying poor old Sammy. I fought really hard in my life for my mom's sake so she wouldn't have both of her children dead, and he is just killing himself. She said, that's the hardest thing to understand because I'm not that kind of person. I'm a giving person. You don't have to care about other people or your family. You'll steal from your family. So that's what she says. And he says, he's trying his best. He wants to write a book.
Yeah.
It's
going to be a good book.
Called, quote, Life Isn't All It's Cracked Up to Be. Which is...
Are you serious?
I think I'm making that up. Life isn't all it's cracked up to be. Yeah, that's really... Come on. I've been saving that for fucking 2 hours, man.
That is amazing. That's for real.
Jeez. That's for real. That's what he wants to do. That's his plan.
He's sitting under bridges trying to find the best pun. You found it, Sammy.
He says a story here. Quote, a young guy told me I got what you want, and he got in the car and showed me a big bag. I had $160 and I tasted it. I said, that ain't shit. That's cornmeal. He said, man, give me your money. So I backhanded him, knocked him out of the car and drove away. All of a sudden I heard something, pop, pop, and my back window was already busted out. I had plastic and obviously didn't have windows in his car. Jesus.
Heard the bubble wrap pop.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Pop. He said he heard that. His back window was already busted out. I had plastic on it. The first bullet went through that little plastic window and down into the back seat. Then as I was going, the second bullet went through the trunk and through the back seat and landed in the back of my driver's seat. I found a little .38 bullet and I kept it. So people are shooting at him. 2006, he's arrested again for cocaine, and they're charging him as a habitual felon this time, which...
It's about goddamn time.
He's never had, enough of a thing. He never got caught with, a kilo, so it's trafficking, and they put him away. He's always, a little bit. So it's it's stupid to put him in jail for 5 years for having a gram of cocaine, but at some point, he needs just a reset. He's arrested, and he said he was thankful for this. He's arrested, and he said once he was in jail, after the arrest, he said, quote, I dropped to my knees, I reached both my hands up toward the Lord, and I said, well, I ain't been the best person, but I hope you can help me to make it through this. He's fighting Jesus!
On a prison cell floor.
That should be crime in sports. Don't find God in jail, because you'll fuck it up. He's in jail for 180 days awaiting trial.
Wow.
So that's...
Awaiting trial.
That's 6 months of just sitting there.
Yeah. That'll help you find him.
Yeah. He pleads guilty to a charge of being a habitual felon here. He pleads that habitual felon, felony drug possession, and failure to appear in court on a felony. They said that his jail term on this, when he gets sentenced, could stretch to 9 years in prison. The DA said, quote, it's a very sad situation. I've known Sammy Stewart for probably 20 years. We've dealt with him here in the court system for years, and he would get caught and make promises and not follow through. He's a fellow that had all the opportunities in the world and made a lot of money. We're just not going to deal with him up here anymore, at least not for the next 80 months.
Okay.
He's like, we're just done. And then the judge sits him down and sentences him. He says, you, sir, may fuck off. 8 years in prison.
Ouch.
Has to serve at least 6 and change.
Oh, Jesus.
So, wow. He told the judge here, quote, it was 2 rocks, $12 worth of cocaine that sent me to prison for 6 years and 8 months of my life.
No, it's not.
It was so much more.
Remember when you punched your wife a bunch?
And how many tons of coke have you had? And I mean, it's probably all that too.
Remember all those speeding charges? And
Good God, assault on a female and
remember
everything else?
Remember when you ran somebody over and didn't get charged with it?
Possession of a Schedule II drug, does that mean anything to you?
Remember when you were on coke in rehab, you idiot?
Jesus. His lawyer said, quote, basically the county authorities felt they had done as much as they could and weren't willing to give him another break. They just threw in the towel. He's a drug addict. He's not a dealer. He hasn't done anything illegal to try to feed his habit. He just wants to get his hands on a cocaine rock or two.
He hasn't done anything illegal?
Stupid robberies.
He's done all kinds of illegal shit.
Now, he says, quote, I've never had a violent crime, except for beating the shit out of your wife. Right. He forgot about that one. And he said he robbed people and he hit a guy with a car.
Threatened to hit your friends because they wanted to stop you from beating your wife?
He said I ran a guy over with my car at one point. So, yes. He says, I think I'm a good person. I think the Lord is going to help me at this time. I've never been a religious person, but at the same time, I've always believed. Yeah. He's given me a lot of peace about it. When I did 9.5 months in 2004, I worried about my life being over. Now I'm looking at 6.5 years, and I'm more peaceful about it. Peggy and Alicia are like, there's shoulder shrug here. Yeah. Alicia says, quote, he hasn't harmed anyone but himself. Well, he tore our family up, but we survived it. Peggy said 6 years seems like a long time. Will he come out better? I don't know. I just know I pray for him every night. And then Alicia says, quote, I don't know if it's going to help him. I hope it does. I'm worried it might make him more bitter, but that's all up to him. People have this image of him being a great guy who just happened to go down the wrong path. Yeah. Well, he is a great guy, but he's been doing this drug, he's been in this drug life a long time. He wants this life. It disgusts me. He'll never understand what I went through. He'll never understand a lot of things. I mean, when I came home from my lung transplant, and he saw me, you know what he did? He offered me a cigarette. That was the other one. So yeah.
And now I got this habit. You got a light?
Yeah, a light here because I'm up to 2 packs a day. He says he's not worried about doing the time. Mm-hmm. He says, I have the Lord with me now. His will be done.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to be okay. I had my fun. I partied. I knew I couldn't take nothing with me, but I'm going to get to where I'm going to be an older man that's respected. I'd love to be a pitching coach. How about a non-crack smoking coach?
Yeah.
I do it for free. I'd love to teach kids. Be your own person and be proud of not doing drugs. I believe it's really cool to say no. From the last 10 minutes, I believe this. I would tell any youngster to listen to the people you love. It's something I couldn't do at an older age. I want to give something to my children where they say, Daddy, we're proud of you. And whenever I die, they'll say, my daddy beat it. It took him a long time, but he beat it. You know what? I'm going to beat it. I will. I know I will.
Okay.
He's going to beat it. In prison, he says he's making plans to take culinary classes and prepare himself for a release.
Yeah.
He said, quote, I'll be 58 then. That's not that old. This might wrinkle my face, but it won't wrinkle my spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
I don't know.
That's too much.
His spirit is wrinkled, everybody. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get out. I'd love to try Baltimore. I should have never left there. There's a lot of crack in Baltimore.
There is.
From what I understand from The Wire, plenty of crack at this time for you.
God
Perfect.
Damn it.
You wouldn't know. I'd like to come back to Maryland. Maybe he'll turn into Omar, who's going around robbing these people for their crack. I'd like to come back to Maryland and help out in any way, whether it be with a baseball team at Towson State or speaking to little leagues or at hospitals. I'd like people to say, Sammy's done cleaned himself up. I hope they don't say it that way.
Yeah.
I'd also like to write a book. I already got the title. It's going to be called Life Ain't All It's Cracked Up to Be. So he said that shit in public. Also, sometime in prison, there's an assault on an officer state employee in here. At some point, he has some...
He did it?
He has some... I don't know how it resolved, but he has some sort of resolution or some sort of fight with an employee, with a prison guard, which... Who knows? That could be anything. He took cooking classes. He says he learned 26 songs on the guitar while in prison. He connected with a woman from his past. A woman found him. And he also says he learned to refuse crack rocks.
That's a good thing.
He talked about how he dreams about crack rocks.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he dreams about buying a crack rock and then waking up in jail and not having any crack rocks.
Or any opportunity to go get it.
Absolutely. In prison, he writes a letter to everybody.
Yeah.
There's a letter to his fans, open letter here. Hello to Baltimore, friends, family, and from the correctional center in Asheville. I've been thinking more lately, and it seems the old times are really dwindling away. These last 5 years have definitely altered my reality. Prison is not a place to be. I'm glad I've learned humility, and I work hard to stay teachable. We all must. The reason I want to claim my mistakes, atone for them, and voice them to the Baltimore area is because you have given me strength and desire to keep trying no matter what obstacles are ahead. Baltimore was always more than a home while I was in Perry Hall. The glory of our championship era when I was in the prime of my life on the most talented pitching staff in baseball, my children being taken care of by Johns Hopkins, being introduced to food and culture while surrounded by friends and family. All of that I turned loose with my reckless actions, not them letting me down. That runs deeply inside my veins, burning and scarring, along with also lots of cocaine. I always feel the pain of loss when I enter into memories and recollections of my team and teammates that I spent 11 years with that were all thrilling and full of magic. We had the most wonderful pitching crew in baseball that was stingy in multiple 90-plus winning seasons. Mike Flanagan once said we were more than nasty. You see, everyone wants to come of age and everyone wants to be real. I don't want any more or less. I would like to say I'm sincerely sorry for hurting anyone in any way. Sometimes we aren't given a chance to tell people that we care. I'm glad and fortunate that you are a part of my life. So many opportunities vanish. He says, he talks about Mike Flanagan for a while here, and it doesn't really need to be talked about.
He really wants to fuck Mike.
Yeah, he does. He does. He said he once nailed my shoes to the floor. He switched pictures of me with ones of him. He cut the pant legs off my dress pants in Texas. We laughed in good times and shared seriously about my son's cystic fibrosis and the very serious possibility of test tube babies. I wanted more. Just, whatever.
That's a weird thought.
Yeah. He says, oh my God, Jesus. Okay. He talks, okay, I have to read this part. I wanted more of him and am now left with life's regrets, changes, and vast amounts of unfairness. I can yet reminisce about Flanny, Mark Flanagan there, Mark Bellinger, Cal Ripken Sr., who's the manager there, Ellie Hendricks, Pat Kelly, and Todd Cruz, and hopefully not many more that I missed paying respects to as they head to Memorial Heights Stadium. I was friends to all of them, and I must keep rolling in the deep as sung by Adele until I surface.
No. What?
When we started this, did you think he'd make an Adele reference ever? Fuck no. You never thought that in a million years.
Quoting Adele in
That's
his
right,
open
God
letter.
damn it. Fuck yeah. Thank you all. Thank you
He's
guys.
rocking the cell block.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
They hate that motherfucker in jail.
I would say so, like this douchebag. Thank you guys for all the good times and wonderful memories. I'm a richer man for them. Hopefully when I get out of prison on the 10th of January 2013, there'll be a 30th anniversary reunion for the 83 champs of the world. I will be there with a clear and focused and potentially dampening eyes. Your friend, Sammy Stewart. He said lots of inmates have tried to offer him drugs. He said that he says to them, nah, I've already tried it, can't handle it. Yeah. He learned how to make buttermilk biscuits and all sorts of shit like that. He's really into the cooking thing. He says that my food would taste good on the bottom of a shoe. That's what he says. So he's trying to say he's very, very delicious there. He knows how to do his shit. It's super weird. So he got a letter from Sherry Lindquist, who is a woman that they had a conversation in 1984 when she had Mariners season tickets behind the opposing bullpen.
Okay.
And they got in a conversation. He asked her about apples up there because he wanted to get some Washington apples. She mailed him some apples in North Carolina, and she had been through a divorce and looked him up and found him, and so she sent him a letter. And they got together. She came to visit with her sister and all that sort of thing. She returned every 6 months and then finally said she was going to move to North Carolina. And she says, quote, it was like we just completed each other. I know that sounds crazy. Believe me, if my daughter told me she was moving across the country to be with a man in prison, I'd say, Yeah, I would say. But she does it herself. She's fine.
Boy.
Mm-hmm. He's released from prison in 2013, January. He lives in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Parole officer drove him to the little duplex that Sherry Lundquist had bought for them. She had a wall with all of his stuff up, memorabilia, pictures of him and shit, everything like that. Stocked the fridge, so he's all set. He told the paper in 2013 he looked forward to a new life off drugs.
Yeah.
He says, quote, I used to do clinics back when I was playing ball, and I'd love to start those up again. I know a thing or two about pitching. I also think I'd be a good motivational speaker. I want to teach kids the dangers of drugs and keep them clear of them. I have a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah.
So they live in a duplex here, nice little place. Several local families have hired him to teach private pitching lessons to their sons. He says, one guy, Marty Davis, whose son works with him, says, quote, everybody makes mistakes. It's how you recover that makes you the person you are. It is touching for me to see him have this opportunity and be so warm and genuine with my son. I think a lot of the man. One point he does an autograph session with a bunch of old teammates. He back in the, like Orioles days here. Those teammates. He said old teammates couldn't believe how good he looked when he showed up. They said, quote, they expected me to be shriveled up like a prune. Yeah, because they heard you've been on crack for 25 years. So yeah, it's not at this point he's 250 pounds.
Wow.
He's
bulking up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mike Boddicker, who's a pitcher, said, quote, I thought he looked wonderful. He looked so good. He sounded like himself, funny as ever. We were all family, and I'm excited to have him back with the group. So not too bad. Rick Dempsey, the catcher, said it was good to see that little spark in him again. Obviously, prison made an impression on him. He needed that.
Yeah.
No shit. So he's teaching lessons. He says that he comes home with a hoarse voice and a sore arm, but he loves teaching. He said he just loves it a lot, and he's taking modest fees, like $20 an hour or something like that. Nothing crazy. He's trying to work to mend the relationships with his children. He likes to go to Alicia's house and try to make friends with her and try to hang out with her. Peggy says, quote, I think it's a thing in progress. He's getting there. I think he thinks he's done so wrong by her, but I tell him, just get on the phone and call her. She wants to talk to you. Which, she wants her dad to be a normal dad and not be a fucking crackhead. He says sometimes he'll get a call from a prison acquaintance and they'll say, quote, I'm out and we're going to be partying tonight at the South Rock Grill. You hear that word partying and you have to back away. You just say, fellas, I got something else to do. You have to take that trigger right out of your hand, which is smart.
Why would you give them your number?
That's what I mean. I guess you could look them up, whatever. I'd be unlisted, I would think, at that
2013?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
That's what I mean. He says it's just he likes to keep his curtains open. He says he doesn't even want to watch a movie that has like dark drug scenes. He says, quote, I like for it to stay bright. When you're in drug addiction, you close your curtains, you duct tape your windows because you're paranoid about people seeing you. I'm away from all that. My windows are open. People can knock on my door, call me on the phone, and I'll get back to you. I'm not dying now. That's good to know. That's excellent. But unfortunately, in 2016, 34-year-old Alicia dies of cystic fibrosis.
God damn it.
Which is brutal.
Poor thing.
Fucking terrible. I mean, that's fucking horrible. No matter how much you fucked up in life, you got to feel obviously horrible for this guy and the poor Peggy lost both her kids. Her husband turned into a crackhead. Yeah. Like in 1980 when they got married, or I don't think she expected that to be the result.
Smile on her face that day
of this. Like I don't think she expected this to ever come. It feels fucking terrible for her. Not as bad, though, as I feel for Sammy Stewart.
Yeah.
Security Settlement Senior Specialist. Say that fucking 5 times. At Baird.
Sammy Stewart?
Sammy Stewart, Security Settlement Senior Specialist. Come on, man.
Sammy.
At Baird in the greater Milwaukee area. Pastor Sammy Stewart of Panama City, Florida.
Oh, God.
Sammy Stewart, a Pascack Hills Junior Cowboys from Montvale, New Jersey football player, high school there. Sammy Stewart, a boxer who had a 1-1 record for 2 fights. One fight in 1902 and one in 1912. You really got in there. And finally...
He waited 10 years?
10 years. I think I can get back in there. Oh, shit, never mind.
God, Jesus.
He won the first one. Waited 10 years. And then finally, and the most obviously, Sammy Stewart, pitching coach at College of San Mateo in Mountain View, California.
Oh, that poor bastard.
Yeah, that's not great.
That is tough.
2017, 2018, things start to go awry again for him. Police reports indicate that he has been arrested for trespassing and several other minor crimes. He's out on the street wandering around in 2017 into 2018.
Oh, no.
Not terrific. March 2nd, 2018, Major Frank Stout, who works with the sheriff's office there, said they found Stewart in a home. Found Sammy in a home on Mountain Road after he hasn't been seen. The report said that he was found decomposing on his bed after not being seen for 1 to 2 weeks. They said they didn't know if it was Stewart's home, and they know he moved to Hendersonville, and he's been arrested a few times, and they didn't know where he was staying.
He just died
died in bed. Medical examiner requested an autopsy be done.
Yeah.
The police said, quote, we will know more once we get the results from that. It doesn't appear to be suspicious, but we will not make a call on anything until we've got confirmation from the medical examiner of what truly may have happened. Pathologists said they found evidence of head trauma, but they thought that was possibly from a reported altercation in January where he was in a fight in the street.
Got it.
And they said the report said the trauma did not compress the brain and did not contribute to the cause of death. So it was just a separate head trauma. They find that he died from hypertension and cardiovascular disease, heart disease, basically.
Like just when you do a bunch of coke.
Like if you're a fat guy who's 60 years old and you've done shitloads of coke in your life and you eat a North Carolina diet, you're gonna die at that point.
Good Lord.
So he had, obviously the long struggling addiction. They do a toxicology screen and they find evidence of alcohol use in his body. So he was drinking, but they found no cocaine or opiates in his system.
That's great.
But he was drinking.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Around a 40 somewhere.
At least he wasn't fucking smoking crack.
Wow.
Mike Boddicker said, quote, "It's just a sad situation. Sammy had a lot of trials and tribulations in his life, and Sammy had a really good heart." That's the picture, Mike Boddicker.
The man made several $1 million.
Sad, man.
Mike, he had a bad heart.
He had a bad. It was terrible. They always say he had a good heart after it explodes.
No, it didn't.
I don't get that. Fuck, we've done that so many times. Now, there was an article. The article talked about him dying, just said, had a tough life and, blah, 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 fought addiction and all this shit. And it was really not like a mean article. Yeah. It was just kind of a basic overview of, played baseball, had some drug addiction, kids were sick, went to prison, blah, blah, blah. Well, his wife commented on it.
Oh, my God, Peggy?
And she's pissed. The new Sherry, the new one. She's fucking pissed, and she comments, quote, "My name is Sherry Stewart, Sammy's wife. Widow, if you must, in parentheses. I am appalled with what I just read, and I'm wondering what your source was to say tragic story of Sammy Stewart and his death from addiction. I don't know, 55,000 pages of police records. That's a source. And an entire paragraph telling the world how you thought he spent his last days. I'll tell you where his, quote, appetite had taken him. The Bible. That's where it took him. And taking care of himself. He died from heart disease. There were no drugs in his system. Just thought you should know the truth. Sincerely, his grieving wife." So they commented.
Jesus killed him.
They commented, yeah. He was fine.
He did tons of coke and did fine with
Jesus comes, dead.
Dead.
Jesus kills everybody. So this Bill McCurdy answers back. That's awesome. "Dear Sherry, please know that it was never my intention to say how Sammy died beyond what I knew at the time, that he died at home. I said simply included all those other possibilities as sad endings that could have befallen him had he continued under the direct influence of drugs. I know about these things from a half century of working with addicts as a counselor. Few that do drugs heavily over a time with no period of sobriety somewhere get to die clean and sober at home with someone they love by their side. Sammy was blessed in that regard. I've chosen to simplify and clarify the point in the body of the original story with the rest of, quote, the truth about Sammy's death that you've brought to our attention by your comment. Sammy Stewart was a good man with an exceptional baseball talent. He was also a fortunate man to have gone through all of the two of you went through together and still had you there with him to the end. You'll be in my prayers to go through this grief work that now hurts so bad and keep the love that is even stronger than the hurt you feel now somewhere down the road. Hope you are getting help with that too for your own sake. You matter too." So
also, Sherry, you and I are the only two that have read this.
Fucking relax.
Give this a couple of years. We'll get one more read.
And then James will read it too because he's a fucking idiot and digs for comments in these goddamn articles. Because you never know. Every once in a while, I look at every one of them and 1 out of 100 I get a gem like that.
That's a good one.
Something, hey, fuck you. Can't get enough of Sammy Stewart?
Boy.
Jesus Christ, the police can.
Yeah.
Amazon.com. Sammy Stewart signed, it's like a baseball card size, maybe a little bigger picture of him there. $71.84 autographed.
Wow.
$9.95 shipping and handling. Complex.com has him on the list of top 20 sports unibrows of all time. He's number 17. Not too shabby. And it's true. Found him on there. It's good stuff. And historyforsale.com has a signed Sammy Stewart card. It's a 1981 Fleer card with him on the Orioles, signed Sammy Stewart, obviously. And that is $76.50. There
must not be a lot of
shipping.
those.
I don't think there's a whole lot floating around. Probably he wasn't out signing autographs for 20 years. He was fucking smoking crack. Well, that's Sammy Stewart.
Wow.
That is a crazy 80s crack tale is what that is.
You said death-defying. No, sir.
No, well, for a long time it was, and then eventually, obviously, you're going to die.
It's going to catch you.
But that was insane. That's what I mean. This is a crazy story on the level of where we've been lately with the Mitch Blood Greens and all that sort of thing. And next football player, I believe it'll be next week, will be Todd Marinovich. So buckle up for that shit. We're going to have, I'm telling you guys, golden time of crime and sports. Terrific. And if you like that story or any of these stories, do us a favor, get on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and give us 5 stars. If you can rate, do it. I know it takes 30 seconds, but you know how long it took to find the comment of this lady bitching about her dead husband's fucking article?
You got comments from Sherry.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, do that. Please do that. I know it takes a little bit of time, but sign in. Doesn't matter what you say. Just say you're following instructions or following directions. We don't care. It's not for our egos. It's just to help drive us up the charts. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for all your crime and sports and small town murder needs. All sorts of new merchandise up. There's going to be a plethora of live shows available to choose from pretty soon up there. So do all of that. Also, from there, you can follow us on social media at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook. It's at Small Town Murder on Instagram, and at crimeandsports@gmail.com is the email address if you want to get a hold of us. Also, if you want to be a hero, people we're going to talk about in a little while, just the people right now, actually, people we just love and just honestly can't do without. If you like the show, like these people, thank them, because they're the reason we have a show here. Right. So these people are amazing. Our producers. You can become one of these producers very, very easily by going to patreon.com/crimeinsports, patreon.com/crimeinsports, or head over to PayPal. Use our email address that we mentioned before, crimeandsports@gmail.com, and you can make a one-time donation there. And Jimmy, I would love to hear, more than anything, like just a cloud of crack smoke to my face. Tell me about all these wonderful people that have helped us out this week.
This week's executive producers are Candace Kennedy, Mary B., and Lisa Coltrane, who's having her 40th birthday.
Happy birthday, Lisa. Thank you, guys.
And for her birthday, she would like everyone to go to bethematch.com and see if you can't, I don't know, it's the place where for organ donation and such.
Oh, yeah. Check that out.
She's a big believer in that.
Cool.
So, well, happy birthday, Lisa. She's the one that's she gave us that picture right there.
Oh, awesome. In Baltimore. That was really cool. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So thank you very much. Producers this week are Brendan Abels, Krista Walker, Amy Grace,
Amy Grace shit? That's a weird name.
Amy Grace Eccles.
Oh, that's a better name.
Ashley Vio, Sarah Hornberger, Gage Foster, and Leah Bauer, James Lombardo, Janice Hill, Nicole Bortz, Thomas Smith, Bree Ryan up there in Montana. I think so. Yeah. I always mix up those 3 states, North and South, and then Montana.
Throw Idaho in your mess.
It's a fucking mess. Reba Warburg, Jesse Hartman, happy birthday, Emily, it's Emmy Dumont. She's been around a while too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyhow, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Jennifer, Gage Simmons, Jennifer with no last name, Gage Simmons, Annabelle's House. I'm not sure what that is. It's spelled like the German house. So cool. Whatever that means.
All right.
I don't know. Kayla Ginn Boatwright. No, yeah, Ginn. Yeah. Like Ted Ginn.
Yeah.
Reagan Shalkley. She's the one that came to the show. She has the dog named Wisman.
Oh, cool.
Ashley Dawn. Yes. Ryan Lucier, Lonnie Hall. Hunt, she came to the show.
Lonnie's awesome. She came to 2 shows.
Right.
She's really cool. Hi, Lonnie. Great. Thank you.
Hunter Krutzinger. I don't know if I wrote that right. I think it's Krutzinger. I think that's right. Kimberly J. Damian Barney. Not So Steely Dan.
Okay.
Interesting.
I like it.
Tegan Bailey, Patrick Martin, John Sheets, Giacomo Umberto Giacomo?
Yeah.
No. Giacomo.
It's not Giacomo. It's Giacomo.
That's certainly
GIA is Giacomo. That's James in Italian.
Is it really?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
That's how I know it's Giacomo.
James Umberto Bertoldo. That's the guy.
You guinea bastard.
Trey Volkanar, who also wanted us to thank his wife, Lauren Volkanar, who finally listened to us and gave us a 5-star review.
Thank you.
The San Antonio Volkanars.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Mahmoud Rahman. Yes.
Abdul Rauf.
Yes. Donna Hatfield, Dawn Olmstead, Cass, no last name, Craig Larson, Mandy Jo Abel. I think. Catherine Burgess, Nicholas Warner, Caitlin Boone, Noah Wooten, Debbie Way, Sean Stewart, Teresa Brandel, Vanessa Ramirez. So she spelled that so that I don't say it too white with Vanessa. It's Vanessa.
Nice.
With a T. Melissa Figueroa, who also wants Tatiana Cuevas, graduated. She lives in Chicago, and she lived in a shit neighborhood in Chicago, and her parents hate each other, and she still figured out how to graduate. So good for you, Tatiana. Crystal or Crystali or Crystal. I don't know. It's Crystal with an E. Randy Thompson, Rachel Storas, Becca B., Trevor Gordon, Kyle Blythe, David Renazzi, John Masterson John. No, John Master John. That's what it is.
Ooh.
And Steph Master John.
Cool.
That's a fascinating last name.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty. You could, whatever. He was made fun of, I'm sure of it. Katie with no last name. Mandy Miller, and she heard of us on a first date, and the date went shitty, and she still kept listening.
You know what? Good. That means she got something out of it.
We win. Suck it. Jack and Knopf. Yeah. That's somebody's name, apparently. Yeah, no, it's not. Justin Miller, Brandon Mansmith, Lauren Moxley, Gary Howard again, Susan Gable, Brandon Massey, Juan Jimenez, Rebecca Sills, Dana Bartram, Grant Reynolds, Logan Murray, Allison Morris, Jack Fisher, Lauren Demarath, and Kevin Jurin. Thank you guys for everything you do for us. We really, bottom of our hearts, appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
You keep the lights on. And not only that, you just keep us, thank you.
You keep us sane, because this is a roller coaster of things that we ride through. And it's really, really rewarding. And it makes it feel good that you guys care enough.
Helps to know that you give a shit.
Yeah.
That means a lot to us. More than you'd know, honestly. Yeah. More than you'd believe it means to us. It actually does mean to us. And
there's nobody that says we can't do this without you, and they fucking mean it. That's what I'm finding out from articles.
No, it's true.
We fucking mean it.
We actually do mean it. And what if people wanted to tell you how much they mean, or you mean to them, Jimmy? Where could they find you?
You can find me at Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I do my best. It's such a and lately it's getting harder and harder, but I'm climbing the mountain. I'm trying to get back to all of you. Thank you so much. And if you want to find James, you can find him. Where can they find you?
Very easily. You can find me at Jimmy P is Funny, or just copy and paste my last name from first and last name from the show description and look it up that way, because you're not going to spell it right. It's a huge pain in the ass. Do all of that and keep coming back every week. Like I said, we have some crazy ass episodes coming up, so many, and spread the word, everybody. Tell your friends. Let's get Crime and Sports. We really want to circulate this bitch, and we think we're in a really golden time where we want people to hear these episodes. Absolutely. We're excited, so please do that for us and keep doing it. And live from the Crime and Sports studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.